for none.
Yeah, it was one of those chances where you're disoriented running back. You've got so much ground to cover. The hardest part is just getting to the ball. And the top edge swirling behind the wicketkeeper. Seifert looked like he had the best chance on the angle. And Finn Allen was coming across kind of at a diagonal angle from short fine leg. And again, I think he just got disoriented because he was running so hard he wound up overrunning the ball with the ball swirling behind him, and that's where he kind of shoulder barged into Seifert at the very end.
For Duffy to continue, he follows Gurbaz as he moves over to the leg side, and it's pulled around the corner by Gurbaz, but straight to short fine leg, no run. Run rate just a tick under 5 as things stand. We talked about the USA yesterday, running India close, and slightly different looking USA side. Some familiar names, of course, from the last World Cup, but 1 or 2 not involved in this World Cup. I'll just pick that up in a second after this delivery from Duffy. He's into Gurbaz, who gets an inside edge onto pad, and there is no run. That World Cup a couple of years ago was meant to kick-start cricket in the US, Peter, and well, what is the scene like in the US? Has anything changed much over the last couple of years?
Well, the board has been suspended. That hasn't helped matters. They got it sponsored 24 hours before the start of the tournament.
Duffy bowls, and Gurbaz looks to guide that one away down to deep third, misses it completely. A little bit of extra bounce, no run.
If you think about the fact that USA made it to the Super 8s, I remember doing an interview with Daniel Norcross from Barbados at the end of that match against England when they thrashed USA to end USA's run in the Super 8s. And the discussion came up, where does USA go from here? And at the moment, they had no fixtures scheduled against full members between then and the start of this tournament. And that was priority number 1.
He bowls down the leg side. Good take by Seifert, but signaled wide.
And shocker, between June 2024 and now, USA did not schedule a single T20I against a full member, which is a wasted opportunity. All the momentum they had built up, all the goodwill, all the attention they had from that Pakistan victory in Texas, really thrown away as an opportunity to capitalize.
Duffy bowls, and it's a good punch by Gurbaz, but good bit of fielding there at point prevents any run. So just the wide so far from this over. 16 without loss, Afghanistan. Why do you think that is? Why didn't they manage to schedule any fixtures with full member nations? Was it full member nations weren't interested? Was it the US board wasn't proactive enough?
Oh no, people were interested. Pakistan in particular. Pakistan wanted revenge. If you remember, Pakistan was due to tour the West Indies last August.
Henry in, and Gurbaz moves over to the offside, scoops this for 6 over the fine leg boundary. What a shot that is from Ramanullah Gurbaz. We know what he can do. Showed a little bit of intent in that first over, not much since. But then that has just broken the shackles a little bit for Afghanistan. Beautiful shot.
Well, this is out of the Surya Kumar Yadav playbook. Walking across his stumps to a full-length delivery on leg stump, and just scoops it over fine leg and sails all the way for 6. First boundary of the day for Afghanistan, the calm before the storm, and finally Gurbaz unleashes himself.
22 for none then. 1 ball left in the 4th over. Gurbaz on to 15. Duffy is in, slightly short of a length, wasn't all that short. And that is a beautiful pull shot from Gurbaz in front of square, out to the deep mid-wicket boundary for 4. So a couple of boundaries to finish off that over from Jacob Duffy. 11 from it in the end. 4 overs gone. Afghanistan up and running now, 26 for none.
Well, that last shot in particular indicates how good this pitch is for batting. That just set up, as you said, it was not too short, but the bounce is true, and he just cracked that through the line, through the gap between mid-wicket and mid-on, and it raced away for 4. So after going 22 balls without a boundary, 6 and 4 by Gurbaz to end the 4th over, and now Afghanistan starting to build up a head of steam here against New Zealand. But just to wrap up the point, Pakistan offered to play USA as part of their tour to the West Indies, and USA declined, if you can believe it. I don't know if any associate is ever in a position where they can afford to reject opportunities to play full members, but USA did so.
Henry continues, that's full on leg stump, and it's been clipped away by Ibrahim Zadran. Lovely pickup shot from the Afghan opener. So both openers now starting to enjoy themselves after just getting acclimatized to the conditions. Afghan fans loving it, and again, no swing on offer, just a full delivery, half volley on leg stump and dispatched.
Acclimatized to conditions and acclimatized to the bowlers. I'm mildly surprised they've gone for a third over with Matt Henry.
Henry with a similar delivery. He doesn't get quite all of that this time, Zadran, and it's a lot squarer out towards Rachin Ravindra on that deep mid-wicket boundary. Doesn't get anywhere close to being a chance, but would have been nervy for a moment. Runs through for 2.
Yeah, you usually see in T20 cricket, whether it's franchise cricket or international cricket, captains like to rotate their bowlers over the course of an innings to keep the batters off balance, but no bowling changes yet so far through 5 overs for New Zealand.
Henry bowls, and slightly shorter. It's hit him on the pad. Zadran, a half appeal for LBW, and well, almost a run out as well. They go through for the leg by.
Stadium, Chidambaram Stadium.
With his team to see whether or not they should go for the review. 2 reviews each throughout the course of an innings, and the clock ticks down. I didn't see the sign being made, but in fact it was. So we are going to go and have a look at this one. It was sort of just short of a length, angled in towards Ibrahim Zadran. Height might be the only issue.
Timing.
From the first look that I got, let's have another look at the replay here. Was there any bat involved?
Well, it just kept fractionally low.
Bat involved, but just go to Ultra Edge to confirm bat or no bat, please.
It was a 2-for-1 offer. They could have had a run out there.
Ultra Edge coming up.
Adrian Holstock, the third umpire.
There's a clear gap between bat and ball. No bat involved. Ball tracking ready, please.
Looks like it's a little bit high on the initial replay, if anything.
It's sort of midway up the thigh, doesn't it? His back leg, his right leg. The line looks pretty good, but
It hit him high in the back leg, well above the pad, but he was deep in the crease. Is where he might run into danger. If anything, it looks like it might be an umpire's call on the initial shots. We're still waiting for the final verdicts. This is going to be a hard one to overturn, but separate from the LBW, that would have been a run out. If they connected at the non-strikers end, Ibrahim Zadran was gone for
2 square.
So they had a 2-for-1 opportunity there, and they may have missed out on both.
still waiting for ball tracking to come up on our screens. New Zealand is in a bit of a huddle. They've almost broken up a little bit now.
Not so much enthusiasm waiting for this verdict, which makes
Get
you wonder
missing.
why they even reviewed it in the first place. They're not
Review lost.
really keenly anticipating the result. Very casual, I think.
It's like they're speaking to the umpires saying, can we just take our review back now? Can we not bother with ball tracking? But here it comes. Impact in line, but going over the top.
I was trying to be generous, Nikesh, with my prediction of umpire's call. That was a very, very optimistic review. And again, the body language, the longer they waited, made you wonder why they even bothered. They got suckered into that one. And again, from backward point, there was also an opportunity for a run out there, which was not capitalized on. It was an underhand flick from the fielder charging in from backward point, going for the non-strikers. And Zadran was very late taking off for the run. I think he was distracted and preoccupied with the LBW shout. Set off late, and there was an opening for a run out that New Zealand couldn't take advantage of.
And he continues then, and that's been chipped over his head just and towards mid-off. Didn't anywhere near the middle of the bat with that one. Just taking another look at the replay of that run-out chance. Would have been a long way gone.
Ben Allen again. He's been a magnet for attention so far in the power play here. Nikesh had the missed chance running back from deep fine leg, and he was the fielder backward point who underhanded, and Zadran would have been out by 2 yards.
And we go short, and that's been clubbed away out towards deep mid-wicket. Again, not quite off the middle of the bat from Gurbaz, but enough to help himself to a couple of more runs. Still in the power play here, so plenty of gaps in the outfield. 35 for none, Afghanistan. Gurbaz 22 from 18. Ibrahim Zadran 10 from 11.
Despite having lost no wickets, or taken no wickets, I actually, if you're in New Zealand, I don't think you mind too much here, because this looks like a very good batting wicket, and they haven't let Afghanistan get away.
Henry completes the over with another short delivery, which Gurbaz is a little bit early onto. Ball hits him in the hip. And that will be the end of the over. So 5 overs gone in this Afghanistan innings after they won the toss and decided to have a bat first in Chennai. They are 35 without loss. Thoughts from you, Peter, on this start from Afghanistan and where they go from here, and then it'll be Kevin Howells on commentary.
Well, again, Afghanistan, they had 3 boundaries off consecutive balls to end the 4th over, and then at the start of the 5th over, with Ramano Gurbaz hitting a 6 and then a 4 through the leg side, and Ibrahim Zadran following it up with a 4 to start the 5th over. But otherwise, New Zealand has done a very good job of containing them at the start of the power play when you consider how explosive this
Lockie Ferguson, first ball wicket.
Lockie Ferguson comes on. First bowling change of the day for New Zealand, taking over for Jacob Duffy.
And he's in. And that is first ball, first wicket. Ibrahim's gone, his corner cover point. Ferguson, immediate impact, 35 for 1. The start of this final over the power play, 5.1 overs. That's the way to introduce yourself to another World Cup. What a start. But you just got the impression also that this pair, the Afghan openers, just felt we're not quite getting what we need in this power play, and that was sitting up for him, and it's been caught there, cover point. So wicket has been taken. Just starting to feel a little frustration. They'd found some boundaries. It's Glenn Phillips who's taken the catch. I tell you, he's taken some worldies in that position. That one was a little bit more easy, regulation. But he was coming at him quickly, still had to take it. 35 for 1 in the 6th over.
I think you or I could have taken that one, Kevin. You didn't have to move for that one. Right at head height.
Between the two of us, a relay catch maybe.
Not on the boundary. On the edge of the 30-yard circle. Yeah, it could have been a tag team effort. But yeah, straight to Glenn Phillips. And it looked like it came off the toe of the bat of Gurbaz. He didn't middle that. Again, it was short and wide. We saw him a couple of times early in the power play try and drag those deliveries that were well outside off stump into the leg side. That was really the first time he had tried to play a cut shot through the offside on that width. And you can see maybe why he was so keen to go to the leg side, because on that occasion didn't come close to middling it, really came more off the toe of the bat and just fluttered very gently to Glenn Phillips at head height on the edge of the circle at cover point, and an easy catch, and it brings Golden Nabe to the middle, who has been in this Afghan senior team for 15 years now, even longer, maybe 16, 17 years, going back to 2008 World Cricket League Division 5 in Jersey, and yet he's only 34.
Probably just has a little look around, tries to settle a little. May have been a ball with his, or wicket, should I say, with his first ball for Ferguson. These are always the best balls that get you the wickets.
They all count, Kevin.
They all do count. For me, by the way, that Seifert's call, you know, on that catch earlier. Seifert's call to go and get that. And you're taking Allen out of the equation. He couldn't have called. There couldn't have been a call.
Oh, it's a good shoulder bar. It's something we might see in the Super Bowl later on tonight. The Seahawks and the Patriots.
Well, you'll have to tell me a little bit more about that later on. I'm about the only person seemingly living in England who doesn't really understand fully the goings on, but I know it's a great occasion. I've wanted to. It just keeps me up at night, and I can't be doing that. Now,
Yeah.
avoid the delay. There's a long delay here before the restart following that wicket.
Rashid Khan.
But I think we're about ready to go again. It's taken a while. Yeah, but for me, Seifert just sees that confident. Well, not confident to say that one of them there. I mean, 3 of them coming in at one point. Mitchell was the other one. He was way off. He was never going to get to it.
Wicket missing. இது எப்பறா umpire out கொடுத்த?
By the delay. Oh, I see.
Nice
We were
review.
waiting for surely it wasn't because we were waiting for the graphic to identify the batter. Please tell me that we haven't got to that stage. Maybe we have. Anyway, 993 runs so far in this competition for Gilbertin, and this one is pushed, or this format, shall I say, this one is pushed square on the offside, so he's immediately off the mark. Also great support for Afghanistan there, and throw comes in from the deep, and they run 3. It's the sort of ground where you can run 3. I do feel, as well as you've already alluded to, Peter, that Afghanistan here feel they're just a little bit behind the curve of where they should be in terms of the runs being scored. Oh, the grief, the forlorn look of the supporters when a wicket is taken, as they were.
Out. Plum.
And again, final over of the power play, deep third and deep square leg are the 2 boundary riders with 4 balls to go in this.
Challenge பண்ணுவோம்.
Ferguson in, worked away on the onside, straight to the field, but they will be alert for a single. So, score will be single to 39-1. But New Zealand have had plenty of time there. In India, of course, they were on the wrong end of that series, 4-1. A few players became unwell, a few injuries around, but I think they're all reporting in okay. There's some concern about Ravindra, but he's okay. He makes the 11. That one is pulled. Slower ball. It's pulled for a single on the onside, so it's scored for 44.
Yeah, he sat out the last warm-up match that New Zealand played against USA, where USA ran New Zealand, of course, losing by 7 runs, and they needed 12 off the final over before Matt Henry shut down USA at the death. But Ravindra did not play in that match. He's in the lineup today.
Gilbas has dropped on 7. He's on 23. Creates a bit of room and space and fires that through extra cover for 4 runs. Enjoyed that. Moves to 27 off 21. Ferguson with a wicket first ball, but he's been singled off following 3 2 signals, and now that boundary. He really did have to create some room and space for himself there on the leg stump, but hit that one in full, and it crashes into the sponge. Big gap out there, but he's found it.
He cleared the front leg, backing away from leg stump, and it was fired in by Ferguson, full on leg stump, but opening that front leg gave him the room to go through the offside.
Wicket. Another wicket.
Gilbas bowls in, middle stump, middle and leg, 2 wickets in Ferguson's first over. Gilbas has gone for 27. They have been a little cautious there, Afghanistan, and this has really seemingly come now to bite them, because 6 overs of power play, 44 for 2.
Very clever bowling from Lockie Ferguson. Pace off the ball. This one comes in at 122 kilometers an hour, 79 miles an hour. He bowls a leg cutter out of the back of the hand, and it took enough pace off of it to fool Ramanul Gurbaz's timing, and pushing forward, can't get clean contact on it. Comes off an inside edge, then onto the pad, and then it deflects onto the stumps off the ricochet. So Gurbaz out for 27, and after a very calm start for Afghanistan, suddenly a double blow at the front end, back into the 6th over. Lockie Ferguson taking 2, and it's 44 for 2 at the end of the power play.
Yeah, quite an eventful over for Ferguson. 9 runs coming from him, but a couple of wickets in there. And Gurbaz perhaps getting 20 more runs than he should have done.
Well, as you said, he was dropped on 7 on that chance at, I don't know if you want to call it fine leg or fly slip, or depending on the angle you're looking at, running back there with the three fielders, Daryl Mitchell, Tim Seifert, the wicketkeeper, and then Finn Allen, and nobody could come up with it, but the chance only cost them 20 runs, and then dropped on 7, out for 27 off the last ball of the power play, as Sadiq Atal comes in to face Jimmy Neesham. Atal will start off the non-strikers end as Jimmy Neesham comes on to replace Henry after the power play.
Let's see what I can serve up here. Neesham holds, and that's angled away now towards third. It's a glorious day. Chennai, 3 games. I think it's 3 every day, bar maybe the last day of the group stage. Actually, inside edge, yeah, just the inside edge from Ferguson's triggering that again. Look back onto that middle leg. But 3 games for you. If you're listening in the UK, all of them on Radio 5 Sports Extra today, including England opening up their campaign against Nepal. That game due to start at 9:30 in Mumbai. Build up from around about 9:15, maybe a little bit earlier. That game in Group C, where the West Indies beat Scotland yesterday. This is the opening game in Group D, New Zealand versus Afghanistan. Sri Lanka, Ireland later from Colombo in Group B. That's the first game in as well. So Neesham in and bowls and finds a gap. There's Sadiq, the first delivery he's faced. So he's off the mark. 46 for 2. In the 7th over. Do you think, how big a debate, if any, should we be having over who were favourites coming into this, Afghanistan and New Zealand? I think most people would have gone New Zealand, but surely there is a debate as to Afghanistan.
Well, again, Afghanistan steamrolled them in Guyana 2 years ago and went to the semifinals. They've been a team on the rise for the last several years, so on paper they are no slouches by any stretch of the imagination. And they've got those 3 spinners that come into play in the second innings. It's always going to be a handful for New Zealand, chasing against Rashid Khan, Mujibur Rahman, and Mohammad Nabi.
Neesham with the 4th ball of this over. That is worked way down towards fine leg. For some reason, as we look at our monitors, they decided to show us the highlights of the innings so far, whilst there was actually 2 balls being bowled. What joy. Anyway, 48 for 2 in the 7th over. Gulbadin is on 6. Sadiq on 2. Afghanistan being led by Jonathan Trott as the head coach. He's seemingly had a wonderful impact on as a team. Jonathan Trott is the head coach, but of course it's down to the players. Gulbadin is on 6. Neesham bowling the 5th ball of this over, in and bowls, and push square on the offside for no run. A lot of surprise seemingly looking at the pitch. It does look, I say, it doesn't look green, but there is certainly grass there. It was the New Zealand skipper Mitch Satner, who's played quite a lot of cricket at this ground, who said he's never seen it, any grass on the surface there before. So surely that would have been some encouragement to New Zealand, you would think. But Neesham with 1 ball left to this, his first over, the 7th over of the innings. 48 for 2 are Afghanistan. Inner bowls or a little fiddle of that, just past the off stump. So a good steady over from Neesham, just the 4 runs coming from it. You're not going to be too upset about that. A couple of dot balls to finish off. Sadiq is on 2. Gulbadin is on 6. 2 wickets having fallen so far in that first over from Lockie Ferguson. He will have bowled better and got absolutely nothing for it, but he picked up a couple of wickets from his first over, and the wickets were that of Ibrahim, caught Phillips, bowled Ferguson for 10, and an inside edge for Manonula for 27 off 22 balls, 2 4s and a 6. You boys were talking earlier today about the drop catches, which obviously yesterday this was, which had a big impact. We've seen some worldy catches already, and we've seen a hat-trick. It was quite a dramatic, eventful, exciting, engaging first day yesterday. plenty going on in those matches. Let's hope we get pretty much the same again today. Mitch Santner, spin for the first time. It's the 8th over. He's got a bowl to Sadiq. Comes over the wicket now, fires that one in, and just worked way behind square on the offside. He has this thing to Santner where he sort of comes and he thinks he's about to bowl, and then sort of presses the pause button almost before finally releasing. New Zealand captain. And again, there we go, down the leg side, and we should see that. Are we see that signal wide? We are going to see that. From umpire Langston Russer from Zimbabwe, Alex Wolf standing at the other end, and we've already heard from Adrian Holstock, the TV umpire. That's next delivery, works to the onside. No doubt, it's quite sensible for Sadiq and Gilbertin just take a little look at Santner, see what response he's going to get out of the pitch, if any, here. And that's lent back, and probably more effort than what they've got out of it put into that shot. But there's a single all the same, and it does bring up the 50 for Afghanistan. It's come in the 8th over, midway through. So some cheer, as you say, from the vocal support. I'm looking forward to hearing the noise, seeing the sights and sounds and the colours of the game between England and Nepal, but the noise. I've covered one game of Nepal, and I have to tell you, the noise just did not stop from beginning right through to the end. Such enthusiasm, excitement, it was terrific. Santner bowls again. More of a push for nothing. They're trying to find a gap, trying to get the legs working, because the boundaries haven't been coming that frequently. Sadiq .50 for 2. Sadiq is on 3, Gilbertin on 6. 50 for 2. Should I say 2 balls left to the 8th. Goes back, squeezed out by Gilbertin for a single. Moves to 7. So this is okay, really, from Santner's point of view.
Yeah,
Gilbertin has scored now 1,000 runs in T20 internationals. So many congratulations to him. Score is 51 for 2. 1 ball left to the 8th. Use of the feet. Drilled. Races across the ground, but just for 1. Ferguson doing the fielding. At long off. 8 overs gone. 52 for 2. Sadiq is on 4. Gilbertin on 7.
It's the first clean contact that they had, really, off Santner. The final ball, the over, the 5th ball that Nabe clipped to find leg was an inside edge that kind of dribbled away, and then Sadiq using his feet to come down the wicket off that last ball to drive down the ground. First clean contact they had. Yeah, Nepal, just to go back to your point about that upcoming match against England, Kevin, I was fortunate enough to be in Texas, in Dallas last World Cup when they played against the Netherlands, and that was a weekday morning, 10:30 a.m., hotter than hell in Dallas in June, and yet there were 7,000 Nepal fans crammed in like sardines into Grand Prairie Stadium. That crowd was the biggest of the matches that were held in Texas, even bigger than the USA-Pakistan match. That's how passionate the Nepalese fans are, and I have no doubt it's going to be jam-packed at Wankhede later today.
Neesham continues to Sadiq, finds a gap square on the offside for a single. He moves on to 5. Afghanistan 53 for 2 in the 9th over. That game coming up 9:30 start UK time. And we'll of course be bringing you the build up as well. Will that prove a tricky game for England? Ooh, let's wait and see. Could be interesting there. For I don't know how long. Half an hour, 30-40 minutes yesterday. Just wonder if there was going to be the shock of all shocks yesterday in the 3rd game of the day. Neesham bowling high and mighty from Gilbertin, and over the field just short of clearing the boundary, so it's going to be 4 runs. Alex Wolf probably is going to have to ask his mate Adrian to just have a little look at that. Confirmed as a 4. And I think we may have just also witnessed some work there where the TV umpire these days is more active, isn't just sitting there waiting to be asked to be involved. I think actively involved, always sort of eyes and looking at what's going on. Because I think umpire Wolf probably did say to him, what was that? And he'd already seen clearly on his screens that he'd bounced just in front of the rope. The next delivery is pushed to mid-on for a single. 58 for 2 in the 9th over. All the technology is very good, but you don't want it holding up proceedings. You're just hearing the sound you hear sometimes in the background, highlights on the monitors. If you hear the rattle, especially if it's your team batting, or otherwise you hear the rattle of the old timber. Sometimes you'll find that it's the highlights of previous wickets. 58 for 2 in the 9th over. Nishan back to his mark, head down there. Look at determination across those eyes. In and bowls to Sadiq. Sadiq will work that away, find enough space for maybe 2. Yeah, coming back for a second. Leg side. Takes the score to 60 for 2. 2 balls remain in the 9th over. So Nishan in his second over. Henry's bowled 3 overs, no wickets for 18. Duffy 2 overs, no wickets for 15. Ferguson 1 over, 2 for 9. Nishan with his second over here. Something that first over went for 4-1. 2 balls remain with this over. Nishan bowls nice and steady on the off stump. Sadiq can't do too much with that. So it already does look. Take a look at the New Zealand players, especially a little hot, a little sweaty. It'll be hard work for them, but it is only 20 overs. It's not like they think they might be there all day, toiling away. Lots of perspiration, sweat being taken away, the beads of sweat off the forehead. Sadiq 7 not out from 9 deliveries. And Nishan with the final ball of this 9th over, and he's in now past the umpire, in down the leg side. Well, oh, he's gone for a catch here, Seifert, on that. He's getting the signal as a wide. Hasn't distracted umpire Alex Wharf. It had me wondering just for a moment, but to be honest with you, what we are hearing quite nicely, I'll miss one now, having said this, we are hearing the sound of the bat or not quite clearly through our headphones, and there was very little to be heard there, despite the fact we're keeping it. But it's a wide, so it isn't and wasn't the last ball. We've got another one to come. One boundary, a wide, singles and a 2. What about this last ball? Worked away nicely. Tucks it away for a single on the onside. Again, just a little running past the ball a little there from Chapman. I don't think New Zealand, there was a dubious drop catch. 9 overs gone, 63 for 2. It was a dubious drop catch earlier. I don't think New Zealand have been particularly sharp in the field, Peter, so far today.
No, another fumble there by Mark Chapman, charging in from deep square leg, trying to cut off the second run and trying to pick up and throw all in one motion to deny the second run, but didn't get the first part of that equation sorted out. Basically overran the ball, and that ensured that the second run would be completed safely by Sadiq.
This is a reminder right now for Mario Shepherd. Also some wonderful feeling yesterday, but that hat-trick. Saw a hat-trick ball in the third game as well, I think. But the hat-trick taken in that second one. 5 this next over, a couple of runs to begin with. They have got to get running here, Afghanistan. Just feel as though they're just a little bit behind. They've lost the 2 wickets, 65 for 2 in the 10th over. Need to make a call earlier. It looks a decent enough batting surface, grass on it or not. And Santner it is bowling. Not seeing too much going his way yet. It's only his second over, 6 runs coming from it. Squeeze out to the inside. Biglin's 14. Now, plenty of air given that one as a full toss, and it's going to fall just short of Ferguson on the boundary at long on. Get one. Not too sure as he meant that as it was, but again, it could so easily have created a wicket, but it didn't happen. To the field. So Sandner, the left-handed Sadiq, come over the wicket, use of the feet, chips that nicely and straight. It's a lovely shot actually for 4 runs. Good use of the feet to get to that one. Brings up 70 for Afghanistan, 70 for 2. In the 10th over, Sadiq with that boundary moves to 13.
The previous ball was a full toss that really should have gone for 4 or 6, and Santner got away with it for a single so long on. This time, actually a better ball, but Sadiq uses his feet to come down the wicket and chips it straight down the ground, bisects long on and long off perfectly.
Santner again, forcing Sadiq deeper into space this time, but good use of the wrist to find a single on the leg side, so he moves to 14. Afghanistan 71 for 2. 1 ball remaining of this 10th over, almost at the halfway point. 2 drink spells, I imagine one of them. Really, but there'll still be a run. Runs into Santner, they're both up and tapping each other on the shoulder, so no harm intended. Sadiq on 14 from 12, Gulbadin 16 off 14, 10 overs gone. And the score is 72 for 2. Gurbaz was the second wicket to fall in the over from Ferguson, where first ball, the rimmer was caught by Phillips, cover point, toe over the boundary up for 10 off 12. Gurbaz with an inside edge, which is starts from Ferguson after 27 for 22. So just a reminder of the bowling. Henry 3 overs, Phillips for 18, Duffy's 2 overs for 15. Ferguson at 1 over 2 from the Nisham's 2 overs more for 15. Santner 2 overs, 13 runs, which it takes a well-known break. They must have had a drinks break earlier, because they're carrying on. It's new bowlers. Glenn Phillips with a bit of spin comes over the wicket into Gulbadin. And behind square, tumbling stop, single, official Garner, just wants to go. Just wondering about this non-rated, it's not particularly impressive, is it?
No, not at all, considering what we've seen from the pitch so far. 7 runs and over, a couple of early wickets, of course, and Gulbadin with not the best record coming in at number 3, Sadiq, one of the more experienced players.
This is Phillips comes around the wickets now, trying to make things happen. They pumps that ball up to 1 off, close to 15.
And plenty of batting to come. Ismailullah Omarzai being pushed down the order in this lineup. Mohammad Nabi, Rashid Khan, of course, Derwish Rasool due to come in next. Again, another one of the not so experienced Afghan middle order players, so this might be one area of weakness for Afghanistan, that middle order, and just being able to kick on after a decent start from the openers.
They've been struggling. Gulbadin on 17, Phillips to bowl to him now, again trying to use the feet, trying to create something, and all they'll get is a single, and you just feel they need a bit more than this. 3 of them so far from this Phillips over. Gulbadin to 18. Afghanistan to 75 for 2. The 11th over. Although there are 20 teams in the competition, still every game is really important in these group stages. You mess up and you've got so much work to do. That down the leg side, and signalled wide by umpire Alex Ward. This is the arms. Also, looking at that face, disappointed as if to say, look, sorry, it has to be. And I think probably that was the fact that the batter did have a chance actually to whip that one away. Worked away on the onside, leaning into a single, moves to 16. 77 for 2. This is also sedate in a way that Afghanistan will not be appreciating this. They need things to happen. And we've already had evidence that if they were to find boundaries and get this runway moving a little faster, there'll be plenty of support and excitement and encouragement from the stands. But in the moment, it's all just a little bit too quiet from their point of view. They seem to be loving this. Phillips to Gilbert. Now he's got hold of that. That's gone away to the right-hand side. That's going to be a 6. Pretty flat 6 in the end, actually. Mitchell was out there, but he couldn't get to it. That's what they need, and that's what we can hear. The crowd getting a little more excited. And it takes that 6. Afghanistan 83 for 2. One ball left to this 11th over. Look at this one again, Nikesh.
He's got arguably the biggest arms in world cricket. Gulbuddin Naib likes to show off his biceps quite a bit, doesn't he? And he's put them to good use on that occasion. Just muscles the ball over the rope. It was flat. New Zealand thought there was a chance for just a moment. And just carried on sailing over the ropes.
Did go quite flat, didn't it? And Gulbuddin is on 24 now, 17. Pushed through a little quicker, forcing it back and away onto the onside for a single, so he will keep the strike. It's the end of that over from Phillips. For 12 runs from it. So wides, singles, and that's 6. To encourage Afghanistan. Yeah, I think you were out of the room when I was talking to Pete about the fact, you know, we're now in the days where I still think most people, rightly or wrongly, would put New Zealand as the favourites coming into this, but it's a pretty close call for me.
It is, and I remember being at this same ground during the 50-over World Cup when Afghanistan famously beat Pakistan, and that was a bit of a coming-of-age innings because they were in a run chase and their batting was always seen as a slightly weak point, especially when it came to chasing big totals or reasonable totals. They just seem to get off to good starts and then just collapse in that middle order. But on that occasion they kept on going. The atmosphere was fantastic, as it is today, with lots of Afghan support in the stands, and you know, since then they've really kicked on.
Ferguson's back. He had a very busy first over, started this second one. It's driven to mid-wicket. 5 for 2. That single moved to 26 off 19.
Been consistent, haven't they, over world tournaments since then. Unlucky not to make the semi-finals on that occasion. If it wasn't for that great innings by Glenn Maxwell on one leg, they would have been in the semi-finals of that World Cup. Actually lost to Bangladesh as well in the group stages, so they probably would have regretted a few things in that, but then went on to make the semi-finals of the 2024 edition of this T20 World Cup. Been a force to be reckoned with ever since.
Ferguson, second ball. His 12th over the innings. It's his second over. Got 2 wickets in his first. Looking for a third. And now to Sadiq. Sadiq will drive that towards the boundary. They'll come through for 2. Fair play. They are looking to run as well as they can, to pick up what they can. 1-3. So far. Plenty of cracks on this pitch as we see that on our monitors. But it does look fairly green as well in places. Not so sure there was too much happening for the Seamers, but they did contain Afghanistan, which is great in this problem for them. They've not really got too great a run rate, and they'll try and get the ball ticking over as best they can here now. Work away square leg side. Nicely for a single. It's in 19. Afghanistan up to 88 for 2.
They don't want to be reckless now in this partnership. They're 44 from 36, but they have got wickets in hand. We're midway through the 12th over, so you think at some stage somebody's got to try and take some risks there, because they've got plenty of batting to come, as we mentioned. Some big overs if the likes of Mohammad Nabi and Rashid Khan get in towards the back end of the innings.
Chance, but he's on 26. He's trying to be as attacking as possible. Helps that on its way to short, fine, and we'll go through for 1. Just too close to the body, really, to get it too far. And help it straight to the fielder in the end.
The old school T20 this, isn't it? Like the T20 blast of 2003, 7.5 and over, get to 150. That should be a good enough total.
particularly ambitious at the moment, was it? Ferguson bowls to his toes to work on that one again. Better fielding at the moment from New Zealand. Good sliding stop, just on the edge of the circle. These singles aren't going to cause them too much trouble. New Zealand, that is. Fairly happy with that. A little bit of good fortune in the way that the wickets, well, certainly the first one, Ferguson earlier. Still trying to keep it tight. The second over. Bowlers have been changed quite rapidly. Gilberton's on 27. Again, tries to thunder that one away. Gets it away straight, but all the way along the ground, it's Henry who fields that one. They'll go through for 2. We're seeing a few at the end of that 12th over. 92 for 2. Sadiq 20. Gilberton on 29. 17 runs from the 2 overs from Ferguson. We're seeing a few shots now where it does seem as if there's a bit more effort being put in and reward being gotten from those sort of shots. Maybe the timing isn't that easy.
Maybe not. Well, I guess you can't sort of tell until both sides bat, but it still does look to me like a pretty decent surface. Certainly more than a sort of 150, 160 surface. You'd be aiming for at least 180 after winning the toss and choosing to have a bat first. Within along decently well, 29 from 21, setting the world alight. Sadiq at the other end, 20 from 17, but it's now time after they've built this platform to kick on really. 8 overs remaining, 8 wickets in hand. 92 for 2. Form is there. It's just
one
case of where are these boundaries coming from?
I think that we're seeing them trying to do that. It's just they can't. I think that's the issue.
Credit to the New Zealand bowlers as well, who've got in the right areas.
Nisham. This is his 3rd over, 15 runs conceded so far. And that's straight up over the top of him and into the boundary. Sadiq moves to 24. It was there to be hit like that, but he played it really well, did Sadiq.
Bit of Yuvraj Singh's swagger about that. Lovely shot. His left-handers always make things look a little bit more elegant. Just gave himself a bit of room over towards the leg side. Opened up that area behind the bowler and the pose at the end as well.
Yeah. Held the shot, held the pose. Nisham again. This is a 52-run partnership, by the way, of 40 balls. A little slower, I think, that one around about middle and leg, and worked onto the onside. They'll have to scamper back for 2. As I say, credit to them for that. They do need to find the boundaries, but they are working hard at their running as well. And they need to. 98 for 2. Score predictor 168. As we've just alluded to, you can't be too certain until both teams have had a go at the batting out there. Just wonder whether there may be elements of timing be a little difficult here. Gilberton's 29, Sadiq on 26. 4 and a 2 so far from this over. Chennai. Both these teams opening match of this T20 World Cup. A little bit of width for Sadiq to work with to carve it away behind square. Offside for 1, moves to 27. 99 for 2. The 13th over.
At 10s from here, they would have done a decent job. There's been some good bowling from New Zealand. It's interesting, wasn't it, that team selection we spoke about at the start. No Ish Sodhi. It's the one spinner, frontline spinner, from Mitch Samuel. Of course, Phillips has bowled a little bit. And Rachin Ravindra with the ball so far.
Went for 12 runs, did Phillips. Nisham down the leg side, just chipped over the top of fine leg, and that's going to run past Stuffy into the boundary. 4 runs. Takes Afghanistan past the 100. 103 for 2 in the 13th over. Gilberton to 33 off 22.
This is more like it from Afghanistan, making a few things happen.
That was off the back of the bat.
The back of the bat in the end, but the intent was there, wasn't it, to get it to that area of the ground. He just sort of rolled his wrists a little bit too early, but it worked out well in the end.
I actually thought they'd come off a top edge and flown away like that, but no. Oh, he's got hold of that, Gulbadin, and it's mid-wicket over the top, and that's 6. Here we go, maybe. Here we go. Afghanistan 109 for 2. A 4 followed by a 6. 109 for 2. 1 ball left of the 13th over. It's the third 6 of the innings.
17 off the over already. This is the big over that Afghanistan needed just to kick-start the innings. Heading towards the back end. 84 metres, that's 6.
Applause from everybody, but not from Trott. As calm and as cool as you like on the coach's bench. That's a good, decent Yorker actually from Neesham. Maybe a little bit slower. Gulbadin will get it away for him. Came back fairly well with that last ball, but runs off the wall, including a couple of 4s and a 6 there. So Neesham's 3 overs, no wicket for 33.
18 off the over for Afghanistan then. So 7 overs remaining, still 8 wickets in hand. 10s from here. Get up to that 180 mark. Tough ask, of course, against some very good bowlers from New Zealand. Bowlers getting older. Only one frontline spinner. And, have to come out with all their variations here, the seamers. Try and peg Afghanistan back.
The last 5 overs, they've actually scored 58 runs, so that's the level and the rate they're going at the moment, isn't it? And as you say, keep that going. I've got Duffy and Henry to come back and bowl some more. Henry's only got 1 over remaining, Duffy a couple. Santner, meantime, New Zealand captain, bowls to Gulbadin and single to for 2. With all these wickets standing, let's see even more. One of them. Times I think I'm seeing that, and then other times I think, there needs to be a little bit more intention, maybe. What's happening? Ball's full, down onto his knees, and well, he did try and get that away and missed it. Sadiq, that is. It's on 27. It's a dot ball. Will be very handy from here on in through to the end of the 20. New Zealand. Concentration from Sadiq. Santner bowls a little quicker. That's in the air, but it's going to be safe enough. The bounce is then rolls out to Mitchell. Mitchell had a terrific series against England in New Zealand back in November. 12 for 2. 14th over. Afghanistan, who chose to bat first, they won the toss. Gulbadin, 41. That was really wide. Did well to get anything on that. Out to Phillips on the boundary. Really stretching for that one. I'm not too sure Santner really intended it to be that wide, but it worked well for him.
Maybe not that wide, but he sort of held it up in the air. He flighted it a little bit extra that time and just tempted Gulbadin into the shot.
113 for 2. 14th over. Again, he's just trying to vary that flight and that pace of the deliveries. It's making it obviously more difficult. And this is terrific work really from Santner, isn't it, at this stage, because we know, they all know what Afghanistan need to do here, and he's really holding it back. 114 for 2.
Can't get out of the over well. Afghanistan would dearly love a boundary off this final ball of the 14th over.
It's almost pretty desperate stages for him to do so. It does well to Santner. It's just a single on the onside again, forcing them back. It's changed, you say, sometimes giving a bit more flight, sometimes just firing through. It's going to be a drinks break here. 115 for 2 after 14 overs. Sadiq on 29, Gulbadin on 43, and Santner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Coming right over, giving him 18 in total from his 3 overs. Can be very difficult. He doesn't necessarily need things off the pitch for him. It's just one of these, especially in T20, so effective, these bowlers, just fire it in, but if you can offer a bit of variation to it as well, that just adds to the difficulties for the batters. Ibrahim made 10, Gurbaz 27, and this pair now with Darwish, Azmat, Nabi, Rashid. Only 6 overs remaining. We're getting to the point where I'm almost screaming at one or both of them to say, look, I know you don't want to get out, but you've got to risk it for a Swiss kid here right now, because otherwise you're going to miss this batting. I know you don't lose wickets just to get other people in, but there is that batting still to come.
And do they think about retiring somebody at some point? Maybe not Gulbuddin, but Sadiq 29 from 23. They'd dearly love somebody like a Nabi or a Rashid, wouldn't they, for those last 4 or 5 overs, just to be able to give them something a bit extra, that boundary hitting ability, that ability to hit sixes at the back end of the innings, which is so important when trying to get your team up to a competitive total. I've seen it done in franchise cricket time and time again. Be a bit gutted as a batter, wouldn't you? First World Cup match, retired out, but you've kind of done your job in the middle order. You've rebuilt after those 2 wickets fell, and maybe it's time for someone else to have a go.
You're sounding now like the coach once that's happened to somebody when they come off and say, look, I know, but you did your job. Now, if I was doing my job,
that's exactly what Jonathan Trott might well say if that was to happen. And what a coach he's been for Afghanistan over the last couple of years. I think part of the reason for their improvement in batting and just that mindset is having somebody like a Jonathan Trott there, who's been there and done it at international level and has such a calm head, can see the situation for what it is, can see that, you know, there's a lot of talent in Afghanistan in terms of batting ability, but previously they were getting carried away with trying to play big shots. They were feeling a lot of pressure and run chases and things like that. He's brought that calm to this team, and he seems to be enjoying it, because every time I've spoken to him as Afghanistan coach, he's smiled more than he ever did when he played for England. And I'm not trying to say anything about his personality, but he seems to be enjoying himself there, Jonathan Trott. It's a good place for him to be.
I'm not saying anything about your personality, but you're smiling. What's going on? He was quite a concentrated player.
He was always in the zone, wasn't he, as a player? But as coach of Afghanistan, he's enjoying himself.
Duffy's been brought back in. Afghanistan 115 for 2 after 14 overs. High off the first delivery this over, and that's going to be a 6. Over long on. Immediately, I reckon, well, surely the message had to be, that's Gulbuddin, by the way, with that 6. The message had to be at that drinks break. I don't know who did come on.
I did see Trott come on.
It was Trott, was it? Yeah, sorry. Well, yeah. So it really would have been. Come on, lads. Come on.
We're on to 49 as well now, Gulbuddin.
Of 28 balls. Ooh, wide, surely from the umpire. Yes, Alex Ward raises the arms.
So 1 away from seeing the guns come out from Gulbuddin.
I thought you meant for me for a minute. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure that's going to happen.
You go for it, Kev.
I'm sure that's not going to happen. Let's wait and see. He's on 49. He's facing now Duffy. Holstrom, a little slower. And that is the 50 with a single through cover point. Well, he lifts the arms up, the back comes down. Oh, that's it. I don't think he really did normal style as you were wanting. No?
Not quite. Normally when he takes wickets, he's sort of more intense, isn't he?
Yeah. Anyway, so 50, which is perhaps more
50
important.
off 29.
Yeah, 123 for 2.
Have you seen more impressive guns in world cricket than Gulbuddin?
Do you know, I'm going to say no, but I've never really been looking for them. 123 for 2. Oh, it's in the air, off the top edge of the bat, he's gone. Oh, what a simple, soft-looking dismissal. I'm not too sure, was he playing the shot, trying to withdraw the bat out of it? In the end, top edge just looped there for the keeper. And Duffy has got to... the wicket's falling. We've only seen 3 of them. Haven't been to the best of balls. Let's take a look at this one. Does he take the pace off this? Yes, he does, but goes to play that, and it's a fairly easy take in the end for Seifert. Had to be a little bit careful of not losing his balance and fairness going back, so held on to it well. But a 3rd wicket, And Afghanistan 123 for 3. Sadiq Atal it is who's gone for 29 24. Caught Seifert off the bowling of Duffy. So if that was the area that maybe Afghanistan were looking at, as perhaps we need somebody else to go in and get going, well, he's out anyway.
He is, and yeah, it was a good bit of bowling, slower delivery, slower bouncer, and just trying to flick it away, Sadiq. Over short fine leg, got it high up on the bat, sort of off the top edge pretty much, and a nice easy catch there. It's going to be Darwish who comes in at number 5, which is interesting. They're sticking with their order rather than promoting somebody like a Mohammed Nabi.
We're midway through the 15th, so there's T20 terms still. A lot of cricket still to go. Darwish, no doubt, has been, I would imagine, sent with the words ringing his ears from Jonathan Trott. Get out there and get on with it. Maybe build up around Gilbertin, who's on 50 at the other end. Darwish faces his first delivery. Duffy bowls, and he does look as if he was looking for some intent there. Actually, a little straighter than it's ended up because he's gone out through mid-wicket. 2. 10 minutes to go there. 125 for 3 in the 15th over. It was a bit of a nothing shot in the end, wasn't it? Just seen from Sadiq Atal. It's 29 off 24 balls. Now Darwish is facing. That's into him. Does well actually to get that away through square leg. Sort of kept it down. On to 3. Takes Afghanistan to 126 for 3. 1 ball remaining in the 15th over. 6 a wide. Single. And a wicket. 2 and 1. We're going to get off what should be the last ball of this 15th over. Gilbertin on 50 from 29. Oh, now he's played a shot which has got just a little bit more on it. Therefore, it goes faster and higher just over the keeper, and once it's past him it rolls down towards the boundary and over the sponge. So that's a 4. A little fortunate maybe. Gilbertin moves to 54, takes the score to 130 for 3 after 15 overs. So a 6, a wicket and a 4 in there, a bit of everything. Does mean that after 15 overs Afghanistan are 130 for 3. Gilbertin Naib is 54 not out of 30 balls, 3 4s, 3 6s. Jacob Duffy 3 overs 1 for 30. Peter Della Penna will join Nikesh to see us through 5 overs to the 20.
So Afghanistan 130 for 3 then. 50 runs at least would be their target, I think, to get up to that 180 mark. Mitch Santner then to bowl his final over. He's been outstanding so far. 3 overs, none for 18. Going around the wicket to Darwish and taking the pace completely off. Darwish leaves it alone, looking for the wide, but it was well inside that blue guideline for the umpires.
You just wonder, with Santner's figures and how well he's bowled in that ball, just sticking up in the pitch, did New Zealand make a mistake leaving Ish Sodhi out of the lineup today?
Santner in and it's punched off the back foot, just missed him in his follow through, and Darwish gets through for a single. Yeah, definitely a mistake. I mean, they're playing in Chennai. I know sometimes you don't just go on the reputation of the ground, you've got to see the conditions in front of you, but I think in the last 30 or 40 years there's been a non-spinning pitch in Chennai, even for a T20 international. Got to go with at least 2 frontline spinners. Santner in, and it's been whacked by Gilbertin out towards deep cover. It will just be a single out to the sweeper.
He likes batting in India, as Gilbertin Naib. Today is his 4th career half-century in T20 Is, and 2 of the previous 3 came in India against India in 2024. 55 not out in Bengaluru, and a career best of 57 in indoor.
To Darwish, who reaches again out towards deep cover. Must be another 1. Bit of a cult hero, isn't he? Gilbertin Naib, fan favourite.
You were saying biggest arms in cricket. Marcus Stoinis might be challenging him.
Yeah.
He's got some guns.
Certainly has. Do like wearing the sort of capped sleeves, don't they, these players with the big guns? Santner in. It's full to Gilberdin. He drives to long off. So, a single. What's his nickname, Stoinis?
Oil, because apparently he was caught greasing himself up with some tanning oil in the mirror by some of his Australian teammates.
Santner to complete his spell with his final ball, which is again knocked down the ground for just a single. So another brilliant over there from the New Zealand captain. Just 5 from it at this stage of the innings. 16 overs gone. Afghanistan 135 for 3. I think maybe the chat was from Gulbuddin and Darwish there. Let's not take any undue risks against Santner and see him off. Have done in the end, but that's a brilliant spell there, showing just what a frontline spinner can do. And Afghanistan, they've got 3 of them to bowl in their innings. Rashid Khan, Mujibur Rahman and Mohammad Nabi, a genuine frontline spinner, all-rounder of course.
Well, New Zealand would have felt a lot better at the 7-8 over mark when it was 52 for 2. And just in the context of this innings, you talked about the looming threat of the spin trio to come for Afghanistan, but it's the Pacers who've been leaking runs, especially Neesham and Duffy for New Zealand.
Lockie Ferguson then into his 3rd over, short of a length. Darwish lifts it up out towards long on. Darryl Mitchell does the fielding and keeps it down to just the single. In fact, the throw comes in, hits the stumps at the non-striker's end, and they get through for an extra run to Afghanistan. Couple of runs to begin this Ferguson over. He is a bowler when that happens. Extra runs conceded. A couple of wickets so far as Lockie Ferguson made those first 2 breakthroughs for Afghanistan, in the Afghanistan lineup rather. Here he is to Darwish, who pulls away high and handsome over deep square leg into the crowd for 6. He was almost taking evasive action at one point, Darwish, because Lockie Ferguson did him for a bit of pace. The ball was angled into the body, quite short. He just moved over leg side and swatted it off his face into the crowd for 6.
Well, I'd argue it was a no-look 6. Yes. He was ducking out of the way, he was turtling out of the way, and it just kind of threw up the bat and connected with it sweetly.
So goes full, and that's driven really well fielded by the bowler in his follow-through. That's a welcome dot ball after that 6, 143 for 3.
Now, the problem with New Zealand, again, they're basically locked into pace the rest of the way because their only other spin option is Glenn Phillips as an off spinner. You've got 2 right-handers at the crease right now. You've got Rashid and Nabi to come, also right-handers. There's really no matchup play with a left-hander due to come in that you can utilize Phillips. So it's going to be pace the rest of the way with Ferguson bowling his 3rd. He'll bowl 4. You've got Matt Henry left with a 1 over. And if they bowl out Duffy, and pace has been very good to Afghanistan today in terms of scoring.
Yorker there from Ferguson, which has been knocked away into the offside. Another single taken. So Ferguson will bowl 2. It's been the pick of the seamers in terms of impact in this innings. Matt Henry's been very economical. 3 overs, 1 for 18. Just adjusting his field there as short fine leg comes in. Deep fine leg.
The other thing to think about too in the chase is the left-handers, the left-hand matchups. You've got Mujib bowling to Rachin, Ravindra and Mark Chapman as left-handers, and so that's a good matchup play for Afghanistan.
Full toss from Ferguson, chipped in the air down the ground by Gulbuddin, drops well short of Santner at long on. Must be another single. Gulbadin examines his bat. Sometimes this is the stage of the innings where you see a well-set batter just call for the, I don't know if it's a heavier bat, a new bat, the slogging bat, whatever it might be. Usually have plenty of them, don't they, these batters? The ball of Ferguson's over to Darwish. It's down the leg side.
Hi bro, okay bro.
Yes. After bowl one more. Ferguson score predictor saying 179.
Come to the stream. என்ன பண்றீங்க bro?
A few more than that in this position, Afghanistan, if possible. A wicket or two here might change things from a New Zealand perspective too. Ferguson bowls, and that's been driven up in the air.
Start பண்ணி 1 மணி நேரம் 10 நிமிஷம் ஆச்சு bro.
Shot from Darwish. It was a quick full delivery from Ferguson, just a bit of extra width though.
Discordல ஜாயின் பண்ணிக்கங்க bro. Discordல நான் எப்ப லைவ் போட்டாலும் நோட்டிஃபை வரும்.
Crashed into the boundary rope. 150 up for Afghanistan as well.
மெசேஜ் வரும் லைவ்.
7 wickets in hand.
லைவோட லிங்க்கும் வந்துரும் அப்படியே.
Ferguson's figures now not looking quite as impressive after that third over, 2 for 32.
Well, that was the shot of the day in my book, Nikesh. As Darwish went back, dipped that back leg to get underneath the ball and shovel it over extra cover and pick the gap between the cover sweeper and long off. Now, I said there's no other spin options for New Zealand. Looking at Glenn Phillips pulling his one over earlier. They've seen Pace go for 15 runs in the last 2 overs. 15 runs off Duffy and the 15 runs just now off Lockie Ferguson. And
6
playing a little bit of a wild card here. They're going to bring in Rachin to bowl left arm spin with the 2 right-handers at the crease in the 18th over, where they're going to be swinging for everything. Interesting game.
சின்ன பையன் bro, எனக்கு தெரியாது. அப்படியா? அப்ப இதுல YouTubeல நோட்டிஃபிகேஷன் ஆன் பண்ணி வச்சுக்கோங்க. முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு வந்துரும் நோட்டிஃபிகேஷன்.
Rachin Ravindra. Always a risk when he's not bowled through the innings, and then to come in at this point.
14வது ஓவருக்கு ரச்சின் ரவீந்திரா போக்குறாங்க.
They're looking to put their foot on the accelerator and get up to a big total. Not the best time perhaps to introduce a new bowler to the attack.
Well, especially if you're going to float it up. That was a lollipop full. You got to really zip it in there. You got to have pace on the ball as a spinner to not let them plant their front foot down the pitch like Gulbadin did just there, and he walloped it about 25 yards beyond the rope, and it takes him to a career best in T20.
Oh, Carlos September.
Best of 57, but now that 6
Same
takes him to 63 off 34 balls, and after the slow start he had, started off on 14 off 12 balls. He has now scored 49 off his next 22. He's accelerated
catch in
impressive fashion.
Keeper catch out.
Since he started off 14 off 12 balls,
he's
not played a single dot ball since the 10th over. Incredibly efficient and explosive as well.
56 for 3. Ravindra in. That's been skied in the air. Chance. Seifert coming under it. Takes it comfortably. And
chicken
Ravindra
gravy bro.
does have the impact
Morning super bro.
Coming into the attack in the 18th over. Finally, New Zealand removed Gulbadin Naib. Not before he's made a brilliant 63 from 35 balls. Afghanistan 156 for 4 in the 18th.
Well, I said he needed to speed it up, and that one was a 60-mile-an-hour delivery near 100 kilometers per hour. So the first ball just floated up as a lollipop. This time, not only did he speed up his pace, but he dragged the length back. Gulbadin premeditated that slog sweep, but that length wasn't anywhere close to a sweepable length. And as a result, the top edge on that sweep goes sky high over the stumps, and it turns into an easy catch for Tim Seifert.
So Azmatullah Omarzai, the new batter, coming in at number 6.
Where a game, bro. இப்போ இது போட்டுட்டேன் ப்ரோ. இப்போதைக்கு வேறு கேம் போட்டோம்னா வர மாட்டாங்க வியூவர்ஸ். ரிப்போர்ட் பண்ணிடுவாங்க. லைவை கட் பண்ணிட்டு தான் வேறு எதாவது போடணும்.
Be on strike here to Ravindra. Continues round the wicket, and Omarzai drives out towards deep cover. It's off the mark with a single.
And again, much quicker than that first ball of the over. Again, 61 miles an hour off his delivery, 28 kilometers an hour. So saw what happened when he floated up and give it too much flight at this stage of the innings. His last two deliveries after that 6 have been much quicker and not as easy to score off.
Ravindra goes leg side to Darwish, who hooks it on its way with a flick into the backward square.
Wicket.
And again, darting it very
wicket
on the pads.
ஒரு விக்கெட் அது அப்பவே நான் சொல்லிட்டேனே. Rachin Ravindra.
But he was cramped through and didn't have time to sweep with the amount of pace.
Second ball wicket
darted that in, spearing it into his pads and didn't allow him to free the arms.
என்ன ப்ரோ அது மெசேஜ்லாம் delete ஆகுது? நீங்க தான் பண்றீங்களா இல்ல?
Bowls and Azmat looks to come down the track and over to the leg side, so Ravindra floats it quite wide of that off stump, but no danger of it being called a wide. So the bowling there, dot ball, very welcome at this stage of the innings for New Zealand.
Azmat's not happy with that call from the umpire. I don't know why he's complaining, because that was well inside the guideline outside off stump.
The ball of Ravindra is over, short of a length. It's been hit in the air out towards long off, and it's cleared long off. Gone all the way for 6. So the over starts with a 6, finishes with a 6. Afghanistan still marching towards a competitive total, you feel here. 2 overs remaining. They're 164 for 4. They have lost Gulbuddin Naib in the course of that over, but as Mithila Omarzai has come to the crease and said, well, I fancy a bit of this as well.
Well, the previous ball, he premeditated that back away from leg stump, and it cost him. This time, Azmat stays planted, didn't give away his movement, and Rachin Ravindra bowled it basically on the same spot, but instead of backing away from leg stump to take himself out of reach from hitting that ball, Azmat stayed planted in the crease, had the arm length to connect and sail that over long off.
Henry then, his final over, that's just a length delivery, and it's been hit straight to Glenn Phillips at deep mid-wicket. It was a very ordinary delivery, that from Matt Henry, but he's managed to pick up the wicket of Darwish Rasuli, gone for 20 from 13. And now finally, we will see either Mohammad Nabi or Rashid Khan striding to the crease.
Yeah, it was just a length delivery, banged into the pitch, and when you've got the boundary protection at this stage of the match, stacking the leg side field with long on, cow corner, deep square leg, that was intentional because they've got Glenn Phillips, their best catching fielder at this stage of the match, out at deep mid-wicket. It was a sucker ball, and Darwish fell for it, picked out Glenn Phillips 5 yards inside the rope, takes it crouching at his knees, to his right.
Mobile பார்த்துட்டு இருந்தேன் பார்க்கல.
Matt Henry coming off the 5-wicket haul in the last warm-up
First
match
ball wicket
on Thursday in Mumbai against USA. Bowled really well to contain Afghanistan in the power play with none for 18. Now strikes, getting his first wicket of the day with his first ball at the death, and it's going to bring in Mohammad Nabi. I would have thought Rashid wanted to bring himself in here in this situation, but he sent the 41-year-old in ahead of him at number 7.
Last tour.
41-year-old who has the experience, of course, with that age, has played in these conditions, has played in the IPL. He's a very fit guy, though, Mohammad Nabi. Similar way to Jimmy Anderson, takes that fitness side of the game.
Bye, bro. Bye.
Thank you. It's the longevity, and here he is facing up to Matt Henry. Gets off the mark with a singular flick to a vacant mid-wicket.
Talked before about Gulbuddin Naib spending more than half of his life in the senior team for Afghanistan. And Mohammad Nabi he's also spent more than half of his life. He's the only holdover remaining in the Afghanistan squad from their very first match in 2004. So 22 years in the team as a 41-year-old, started playing at 19. It just shows the incredible longevity and, to your point, the incredible fitness that he's had to be able to keep going strong all these years, Nikesh.
Former captain, of course, as well, of Afghanistan. And an all-round hero. Great for him, really, for Afghanistan to have another really good run at this T20 World Cup. Comes Henry into Omarazai. It's a short, slower delivery, and it's left alone by Azmat, who looks over to square leg. Trying to see if that one was a wide overhead height, but umpire says no. Signals the one for the over, and it's another dot ball. So wicket, 1 dot. This is what Matt Henry does at the back end of an innings. 1 for 19, his figures, midway through his final over. Run rate for Afghanistan dipping just below 9 now. Changes to the field. Mid-off goes out to long off. Henry runs in, bowls. Length delivery, it's been hacked away. Leg side by Azmat for just another 1. And 66 for 5. Afghanistan.
He's been really clever at mixing up his pace off the ball here again today in this final over for Henry. There's 1 to go after this, but this is his 4th, and it's been mighty impressive to see how he's operated. Just mixing up his pace to keep the Afghan lineup off balance on a day when every other pace bowler has gone for about 10 and over, if not more.
Henry full to Nabi, who backs away leg side, chips it out towards deep cover, and it falls in between 3 fielders running in towards the ball. Just another 1.
This one at 81 miles an hour, the previous delivery at 70, so just in that range where he's dropping his pace by 10 to 12 miles an hour to fool the batters. Sometimes you see pace bowlers, if the range is too big, if the variation is 20, 22, 23 miles an hour between their pace, full pace delivery and the slower delivery, it becomes too obvious, and then that slower ball gets whacked, but not happening to Henry here.
Henry, final ball of the over, gets chipped away, over cover and away for 6. We always talk about finishing an over well as a bowler in T20 cricket. He wasn't quite able to do that. Still not a bad over at this stage of the innings. 9 from it and the wicket, but that is a lovely shot. Just a length delivery, bit of width offered to Omarazai. Put his arms through it. And smashes it 74 metres over towards the offside.
A lot of forearm in that shot from Azmat. And it was, again, sat up there on a length, and he just powered it over the cover boundary. Only the 2nd boundary conceded by Matt Henry today. An incredible spell by him. Ends with 1 for 27. He conceded it 1-4 in the 5th over to Zadran, and then that 6 to end his spell. But otherwise, mighty impressive on a day when every other pace bowler has been very expensive for New Zealand.
Ferguson then to bowl the final over of the innings into Mohamed Nabi, who smashes this one over long on for 6 more. Muscled over the rope, that one from Nabi. 179 for 5, Afghanistan. 5 balls left in the innings. Mohamed Nabi just practices that shot once again. Pretty well. Not quite off the middle of the bat either, just looking at the replay. Slightly low on the bat, but plenty of muscle behind it. No doubt that it was ever going to fall short of the rope. Ferguson responds with a wide Yorker outside off stump. Very well bowled, just inside that blue guideline for the umpires.
Well, that's what he wanted to do on the previous delivery, at least in terms of the length. He misfired on the length on that 6. It sat up in the slot. He was going for Yorker at full pace. This time he takes pace off the ball, on it at 122 kilometers per hour. and he lands it just inside the wide guideline. Nabi didn't even play a shot.
Ferguson goes length to Nabi, who knocks the ball just wide of mid-off. It's through for a single, so there's the 180 that we spoke about. 180 for 5, still 3 balls left in the innings.
And you know how teams love chasing. They prefer to chase in most situations in T20, but when you're chasing against 3 spinners that Afghanistan have, and you saw how effective Mitchell Santner is as somebody who barely turns the ball, Afghanistan will feel very comfortable.
That's a good Yorker from round the wicket from Ferguson, hits the pads of Asmadullah Omarzai. Get through for a run.
When you look at where they were after 10 overs, 72 for 2. So they've added 109 off the last 58 balls. Incredible acceleration piloted by Gulbin and Nabe for the bulk of that sequence.
Ferguson continues round the wicket, another slower delivery to Nabi. It's through to Seifert. Kind of fox Nabi as he was to hit that one into the leg side. Did think about running through for the bye, but decided against it. So it will be Nabi to face the final ball of the innings, as it's not a no ball or a wide. Good stuff from Ferguson there. 245 at the start of the over, kilometres per hour, and down as low as 122. Final delivery, pace on for the final ball, and Nabi chips it up out towards deep cover. Surely they're going to come back for 2. They do. I think Asmadullah Omarzai might be struggling there as the stumps are broken at the non-strikers end, so we'll just wait and see whether it's 182 for 5 or 6.
What were they doing
Let's
there
see
to
what's
catch?
going on. They just kind of stopped midway, didn't they?
The last ball of the innings, run on anything. Don't worry about your average. Ridiculous. There was 2 there all day, and they stopped. Both of them stopped halfway. I have no idea what they were thinking there. If they ran the entire time, they would have completed the second run there. This is something that irritates the heck out of me in cricket, where last ball of the innings, you should be running until there's no tomorrow. And instead, they were looking at each other almost out of the Three Stooges. Ridiculous running, and they should have completed 2 there. Instead, it's 1 and a run out to end the innings. So will that run come into play here?
Well, it might well do.
I hope not, because you're going to be so upset.
Well,
I don't think I'll be able to cope with this upset.
Well, this is New Zealand, the team in the 2019 World Cup final, who on the last ball of the first innings didn't even attempt to run a bye. You would think in the most famous match in cricket history in terms of limited overs, they would have learned their lesson.
Yeah, they almost stopped to shake hands, didn't they, mid-pitch there, but run out is the verdict then. So 182 for 6 is what Afghanistan finished their innings on. And it's a pretty good effort from where they were early on. 44 for 2 after the power play. And then a pretty good partnership between Sadegullah Atal and Gulbuddin Naib. Sort of steadied things in the middle order and then put their foot on the accelerator, particularly Gulbuddin, who made 63 from 35. Top scorer, his top score in T20 internationals as well. A new role for him at number 3 in the order. Usually comes in at sort of number 5 or 6, but able to do a really good job for his side. Darwish Rasuli at the end with a contribution of 20 from 13. Omarzai run out there at the end for 14 from 7, and 10 not out for Mohammed Nabi. It was Ramanullah Gurbaz and Ibrahim Zadran who put on that 35 for the opening stand, with Gurbaz making 27 and Zadran 10. Neither quite at their absolute beastly best as we've seen in the past, but Afghanistan, I think, will be pretty satisfied with that total. 183 then the target for New Zealand when they get their reply underway shortly. The pick of the bowlers, incidentally, got to be Matt Henry, 1 for 27 off his 4, And Mitch Santner, despite not taking a wicket, conceding just 23 from his 4 overs. Couple of wickets for Ferguson, 1 each for Jacob Duffy and Rachin Ravindra. Over to you, Kevin House. In fact, let's hear from Gulbuddin Naik, who's speaking to Katie Martin.
For a long time, I'm just waiting for that moment. So, like, I worked hard for that moment. So, like, especially the management trust on me. So they give me a chance, for every game. So, like, and they trust on me. So then I take a positive intent, and the way I played there. So maybe it's like not the way we finish yet, but it's way to go. But yeah, it's a great day for me.
A worthy promotion that worked very well for Afghanistan today. What worked for you in these conditions?
It's not easy, like in this kind of tough teams, like you're facing a tough bowler, you should be patient on the wicket, so you look the gaps there and look the ground shots, like it's not easy to score on this big game, but like I said, I have a positive intent and one thing in my mind, so I should go for long how I came there. So like these things make a big impact.
They certainly do. Now this pitch, you got to see quite a number of balls. Did things change out there at all, or how did the wicket actually play?
It's not easy. It's not easy. Like especially the length balls, like the wicket is too pacey, too pace. Like you can't make a plan for any bowler like easy. So that's the mindset I have, and there. So the way I played, I think the way the team, how we played the innings. So maybe it's a great effort.
182. Is that enough?
Yeah, if you look at the bowlers, like we have the quality bowlers and our group, so it will be tough but not easy, but we will give our 100%.
Congratulations, you were epic today.
Thank you.
Well, there we are. I wish somebody would say that to me at the end of the day's work. Oh, you were epic. Maybe there's very good reason why they don't. Anyway, well done. Congratulations to that epic Gulbuddin Naik with his 63 off 35 balls, 3 4s and 4 6s in that Afghanistan total, which at one point was looking perhaps though is going to be a little bit short. It's a relayed surface we're hearing as well, so yeah, it could be tricky this for New Zealand, and the second innings up and coming shortly, all the intervals so far, and I think it's the way it's always going to be, just a little bit shorter than first advertised. So we shall crack on and back with the reply quite shortly, but from 9:30 UK time today, England will begin their World Cup campaign, taking on Nepal.
Bro, welcome to the stream.
After a challenging winter on and off the field, England come into the game in good form.
Hello, bro, pandreenga.
Series win in Sri Lanka.
Sunday
It's been a
special.
particularly difficult time for the captain Harry Brook in recent weeks. He's been telling Henry Moran he's enjoyed the extra responsibility on the field.
I think so. I think you have to think about the game and what's in front of you a little bit more, especially as a batter going into certain situations. You've got to think what's best for the team at that time, even more than you do when you're just a player. And I feel like I played some of them situations really well in the white ball in the last couple of weeks.
Because that, in some ways, has been extra impressive, I suppose, given the workload, given everything that's gone on, to play the way you have in that white ball series. That must give you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and everybody's full of confidence.
Bro,
we're in a great space going into this World Cup, and when we play against Nepal, the main aim is just to stay in our bubble and stay in our lane and focus on what's right in front of us at that time. And
நல்ல bowling வச்சிருக்காங்க ஆப்கானிஸ்தான்.
Have a clear mind to be able to adapt if needed.
Because T20 cricket, as you know all too well, it is quite a fickle thing. You lose overs, you have a bad 5 overs, things can go wrong quickly. It seems like Nepal can't be taken.
No, nobody can be taken out. There's a lot of good sides in this comp, and like you said, T20 cricket is such a fickle game, and anybody can beat anybody. So we've got to be on it from ball one in the field with the bat and the ball.
If you've got your team all around you and you've got one message to them for this tournament, what would it be?
Stay in the moment and play what's in front of you.
What does that look like for a Harry Brook England side?
I think just being able to adapt if needed, play the situation, play the surface, what's in front of you, and have a blank mind to be able to have conversations about adapting to certain situations.
There's no cricketer in the world that'll ever say anything apart from we'll take each day as it comes and each game as it comes. But do you think about what should be England's expectations for this tournament?
No, and that's something that I've worked on in my career so far. Is I just want to focus on the next game as much as possible. And yeah, what will be, but we'll obviously give it a hell of a crack.
So you and Brendan haven't had a conversation saying, look, this is what we need to achieve in this tournament, not least because of the narrative of how the winter's gone?
No, definitely not. I think if we achieve focusing on the next game, every game,
next match எத்தனை மணிக்கு இந்த லைவ் கட் பண்ணிட்டு புதுசா இன்னொரு லைவ் போடணும்.
He faced just 92 balls in that T20 tournament.
bro.
Face a few more, but you're back to 5. What's the thing?
Fast bowler இப்ப நல்லா இதா இருக்கு. இதான் இருக்கு சென்னை பிட்ச். முத மாதிரி இல்ல. சென்னை பிட்ச் மொத்தமா மாத்திட்டாங்க. ஸ்பின்னருக்கு அவ்வளவா ஹெல்ப் கிடைக்கிறது இல்ல.
And manipulate the field is awesome. But it's more about
நூர் அகமதுக்கு நல்லாவே தெரியும் பிட்ச்.
We want to be able to adapt
நூர்
to
அகமது தான்.
anything and whether that's me going out in front of Bance, Beth,
நாலு ஓவர் plus Rashid Khan Rashid Khan போடுவாங்க.
As an England side, there will be huge expectation in India because in India there's a lot of superstars that have played in the IPL. Your relationship with India as a cricketer, you've had some brilliant times on the field, some tougher times on the field. Where do you find the experience of India? How do you find it, and what message would you give to those players that perhaps haven't played?
Home bros.
I love playing in India.
Sander நிறைய மேட்ச் இங்க விளையாடுறாங்க.
It's very good and the crowds are outstanding. It's just about staying in your lane as much as you can because you really can get caught up with the outside.
நல்லா இழுத்து பிடிச்சு போடுவாங்க. என்னதான் ஹெல்ப் கிடைக்கலனாலும் நல்லா போடுவாங்க.
Especially when they recognize who you are.
ஆனா எல்லாரும் குவாலிட்டி ஸ்பின்னர்
and they just want to take photos and signatures all the time. So you've got to just try and focus on your cricket.
Sander நல்லா தான் போடுறாங்க. ரன் கொடுக்காம. ஆனா விக்கெட் வரல.
Perhaps we've won 10 out of the last 11.
I don't really know. I don't know if we are under the radar.
You think you go in as one of the favourites?
I think we're such a good side. I think there's no reason why we can't be confident enough to go all the way. But like I said, the main aim is just to take one game by game.
நூர் அகமது இல்லையா? என்ன சொல்றீங்க?
Yes, he's coming back in.
ஸ்குவாடே பார்க்கலையே.
So it'll be him and Joss opening the batting. Bethel 3, Bantam 4, myself.
நூர் அகமது இல்லையா bro?
6, Jack 7, Dawson 8.
இருங்க பாப்போம் ஸ்குவாட்.
You've done very well there. And so Luke Wood over Overton.
Yeah. Just playing the surface and the opposition, we think that
ஆமா bro இல்ல
very vital and he's one of the best.
எந்த தைரியத்துல ரெஸ்டட் என்னாச்சுன்னு தெரியல. ஃபருக்கி, ஜியா ரஹ்மான், முர்ஜிப் ரஹ்மான், ரஷீத் கான், முகமது நபி ஃபுல்லா பேட்டிங் ஸ்ட்ராங்கா போயிருக்காங்க ப்ரோ. ஆனா பவுலிங் எல்லாரும் போடுவாங்க. நபி போடுவாங்க. என்ன பண்ண போறாங்கன்னு தெரியல.
So we've got England versus Nepal coming up at 9:15 UK time for a 9:30 start. All of this on Sports Extra. Then at a 1:15 for 1:30 it'll be
ஃபின்னாலன் இருக்கான். ஃபின்னாலன் நாட்டி நொறுக்கி விட்டுருவான்.
and he'll keep on coming.
ரச்சின் ரவீந்திரா ஆங்கர் ரோல் தான் ஆடுவான். கிளென் பிலிப்ஸ், மார்க் சாப்மேன், டேரல் மிச்சல் சன்னர், ஜிம்மி நிசம். பேட்டிங் பயங்கரமா இருக்கு நியூசிலாந்துக்கு. விக்கெட் எடுத்தாகும்.
Group D in Chennai, the match between Afghanistan and New Zealand, where Afghanistan managed to total 182 for 6 in the end. A terrific performance in the end also from Boubaddin Laib. His 35 balls, 63, 3 fours, 4 sixes. Some very useful knocks later on. Darwish Wasuli, 13 balls, 20. Marazai and Mohamed Naeeb.
ஆமா ப்ரோ அவன் டீம்ல இல்ல. எல்லாரும் ஆல்ரவுண்டர் மாதிரி தான் இருக்கானுங்க. அதனால தான் தைரியமா ரெஸ்ட் எடுக்க வச்சிருக்கானுங்க. பேட்டிங்கும் கிடைக்குது, பவுலிங்கும் கிடைக்குது. பேட்டிங்ல டெப்த்துக்காக கொடு பண்ணிருக்காங்க.
to do something which they failed to do in this competition last time. Afghanistan beat them. They thanked them as well. It was a big, big win for Afghanistan. Off the back of a really terrific big bash. We had Perth Scorchers take the title again in Australia. He's there with Seifert, and we are going to see Faruqi. Zal Haq Faruqi, 25 years of age, left-hander.
Batting on time.
First over. This Afghanistan chose to bat. And then it's 2 for 6 from there. Let's see what they can do.
First ball.
We'll be facing the first deliveries. The power play, of course, first 6 overs. Here of a little bit of width, but driven down into the ground, back up to the bowler. No run. First delivery. Opening match in this group. An opening match in the group for the third game today as well. See Sri Lanka take on Ireland, but other than the Poland group C, we already had a game that group. Scotland against the West Indies, won a hat-trick. Pfeiffer, that's the West Indies victory over Scotland. And of course, as yesterday, back to the action today, Yorker length delivery.
74 votes.
It's left hand to
Pola.
go too far away. There's Russell Huck.
ஆமா.
Seifert.
இல்ல ஆப்கானிஸ்தான் தான் ஜெயிக்கணும் போட்டுருக்காங்க.
Penna had a chance to go off and give himself some sustenance. He seems to come back quite quickly here. We're not impressed with the full balls on.
ஸ்டார்டிங்ல பதன்னு வந்தானுங்க நிறைய பேர்.
Oh, you just felt you should be a footballer.
This is where I'm
இப்ப அப்படி
getting paid. I'm
கம்மியாயிடுச்சு.
getting paid to work on the match.
We pay to look after you as well. How's that you're back?
கொஞ்ச நேரத்துல அந்த லைவ் முடிச்சிட்டு சாப்பிட்டுட்டு இங்கிலாந்து vs நேபாள் நிறைய ஃபேன்ஸ் இருக்காங்க ப்ரோ கிரிக்கெட்டுக்கு லைவ் நிறைய வரும் அந்த மேட்ச் போடுவோம்.
It's going to be a 4, but that was very firmly struck, cleanly struck. In terms of Rashid Khan,
இப்போதைக்கு இந்த 1 மணி நேரம் 40 நிமிஷம் ஆச்சு லைவ் போட்டு 2450 வியூஸ் வந்திருக்கு.
He was fielding it at mid-off. Seifert looked to lift it high and wide of him. Oh, just past the right hand. He threw himself at it, couldn't get the timing right, and he got the timing right. That would have been a stinger on the right hand anyway, but a few nice smiles around the Afghanistan players, and New Zealand are off the mark. 4 for no wicket. Russell into Seifert again. This time it's width on the off stump. Carved away, it's going to be another 4, you know.
Continuous 4, ஆமா 2 4.
Out of the reach of the fielder. Moving around from third.
ரெண்டு டீமும் ஒண்ணுக்கு சலச்சது இல்ல இன்ட்ரஸ்டிங்கா போகும் பாப்போம்.
So 2 dot balls followed by 2 fours.
Well, he was wrong-footed.
ரெண்டு டீம் தான் லாஸ்ட் வேர்ல்ட் கப்ல செமி ஃபைனல் விளையாண்டாங்க. நியூசிலாந்து ஆப்கானிஸ்தான் தோக்கடிச்சிட்டு செமி ஃபைனல் போனாங்க.
And he went the wrong way. Not sure what he was looking at, but that cost him. It should have been no more than 2, and instead it goes for 4. Fazal Haq was the player of the match when these teams met 2 years ago in the World Cup. Could have been player of the match. Took 4 for 17. It was the player of the second innings, essentially. Decimated the chase early on. Took a wicket first ball up to now. Nearly had a wicket first over.
He's in bowls now, and that's a good delivery. Right there on the stump. Switch is kept back by Seifert.
If Rashid Khan was only maybe 4 or 5 inches taller, Kevin, that would have been a catch and would have had a wicket in the first over of back-to-back World Cup matches against New Zealand with Fazal Haq, but instead it's 2 boundaries so far, and so with 1 ball left for Seifert.
It was travelling, that ball, so I wish he had got a hand on it, because it would be nice to see if he'd been able to keep hold of it. Could have taken him out. Ball and player could have ended up at the boundary.
Well, we saw Shimron Hetmeyer with an incredible catch yesterday, one-handed.
Yeah, it really was. It was terrific. We saw a lot of competition highlights even on the first day. This time it is well wide of Rashid Khan there at mid-off from Seifert. So that's ended up being a really good over. Very good over. 12 runs coming from it. 3 fours for Seifert. Fazal Haq won't be best pleased with that. But this is the power play. And if you think about Afghanistan, of course, it's a whole different narrative when you're setting and you're just trying to gauge conditions when you're batting first. They chose to do so. But Afghanistan weren't particularly strong in the power play. New Zealand will feel they have to be, though, to try and get these 183 runs they require.
New Zealand semi-final didn't play before here, bro. They didn't qualify for Super 8. ஆமா ப்ரோ, அதுதான் நான் மாற்றி சொல்லிட்டேன். செமிஃபைனலுக்கு போகிற மேட்ச் தான் நியூசிலாந்து தோத்துட்டாங்க. தோத்ததுக்கு தான் ஆப்கானிஸ்தான் ஜெயிச்சு செமிஃபைனல் போனோம். குரூப் ஸ்டேஜில் வந்து ஆப்கானிஸ்தான் நியூசிலாந்து நடந்தது. அதில் எந்த டீம் ஜெயிக்குதோ அதுதான் செமிஃபைனலில் போகிற மாதிரி இருந்தது. ஆப்கானிஸ்தான் ஜெயிச்சு போச்சு, ஆனால் அங்கே போய் தோத்துருச்சு ஆப்கானிஸ்தான்.
Conceded just 18 across 3 overs in the power play and finished with 1 for 27. And now we're going to see spin. We saw how effective Mitch Santner was in the first innings. It's going to be Mujibur Rahman with the new ball, as he's done so often across his career, bowling mystery spin in the power play for Afghanistan.
Finn Allen is a batter in form. What's he going to do here today? Goes deep in his crease. First ball he faces from Mujib. Drills it long ground too.
They didn't qualify for Super 8, bro.
We can keep Mitchell out of it for now. So the impact wasn't too costly, but logged in the drop, but he took his keeper out in actual fact. He barged him out of the way and then missed the ball himself. Cypher here with a single on the onside.
Outa? No, எனக்கு வரல லைவ்ல. ஓ லைவ் லேட் ஆகுது. அவுட்டு யார் போ? முஜிப்பா பயங்கரமா bowling போட்டுருக்கானே. வேற லெவல் ப்ரோ. இப்பதான் கமெண்ட்ரி கொஞ்சம் லேட்டா வருது ப்ரோ. கேடியோ கமெண்ட்ரி டேஞ்சரஸ் ஃபினாலன் அவுட். ஆமா ப்ரோ, இருந்தாலும் அட்டை நொறுக்கி விட்டுருப்போம்.
Well, Finn Allen was out first ball against Afghanistan 2 years ago when they got steamrolled, and now he's out second ball here. This one just skids on. Mujib so quick through the air. Finn Allen thought he'd read the length, rocking onto the back foot, believing the ball was short enough to pull, but the pace of Mujib as a spinner, he just darts it in so quick, and Finn Allen didn't have enough time to get bat on ball, rocking onto the back foot, trying to play the pull shot, completely over the top of it, and the ball rips out middle stump about 3/4 of the way up. And Afghanistan showing early on how pivotal spin could be in this match. Again, New Zealand left out Ish Sodhi. Mitch Santner bowled a very good spell in the first innings. None for 23. He was the only bowler for New Zealand to go at less than a run of ball, Mitch Santner. And he doesn't even turn the ball that much. And when you think about Afghanistan,
new team download பண்ணனே, new team lineup அதெல்லாம் எங்க போகுதுன்னு தெரிய மாட்டேங்குது.
This chase could very quickly become a handful for New Zealand.
Well, let's wait and see. Rachin, Ravindra, 26 years.
Team editor, management team, international. Custom teamless Scotland, Pakistan இருக்கு. Afghanistan lineup T20. Double bro, என்ன bro இது? Double break bro.
2 in 2. We're on to a hat trick ball.
ஓடேங்கப்பா, நினைச்சேன் bro ரச்சின் வேற ஆளே இல்லையா bro? ஏன் bro ரச்சின் ரவீந்திரா T20 ல எடுக்கறாங்க?
Misses that. Mujib strikes again.
ரச்சின் ரவீந்திரா ஓடிய பிளேயர் bro.
Ravindra's gone.
Well, Finn Allen went onto the back foot.
யாக்கர் மாதிரி தூக்கி போட்டான்.
But
வேற லெவல் bro Afghanistan.
Again, so quick through the air. He prods forward but leaves a big gap between bat and pad, and it goes straight through again into middle stump. He tried to just punch that one really gently back to the bowler. He wasn't really trying to play an aggressive shot. He certainly wasn't trying to go over the top of the infield. Just kind of presses forward on the front foot and left enough of a gap there for Mujib to get through. And New Zealand, who were skittled for 75 against Afghanistan 2 years ago in this tournament in Guyana, chasing a target of 160, are now 14 for 2 with Mujib on a hat trick and Glenn Phillips coming out to face the delivery.
Quick download.
Home commentary for yesterday's hat-trick. But will we...
New Zealand under pressure.
Will we get 2 in 2 days?
Power play la ஓரளவுக்கு pressure
Obviously in
இருக்கும்.
limited format. The hat-trick's not quite what it is in first class cricket, but they're still not.
இன்னும் அவங்க ஜெயிச்சலாம் தான் ப்ரோ நம்பிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. அவ்வளோ ப்ரெஷர் இருக்கு. இன்னும் ஒரு விக்கெட் விழுந்தா ஃபுல்லா ப்ரெஷர் ஆகும்.
So Glenn Phillips,
you already have current pacers of Afghanistan saved locally. Would you like to proceed to replace current with
New Zealand?
save current
start,
as custom
14 for
team?
2. And I'm telling you now, how excited are they? Jonathan Trott actually smiled on the bench. That's quite excited. Mujib in on a hat-trick. Oh, almost gets through but doesn't.
Hat-trick.
Just down in time on that one. So close.
Well, he prodded it forward. There was a leg slip in place in addition to the slip, and if they had had a bat pad, that would have been a catch. Because he prods forward, it's the back of the hand delivery from Mujib, inside edge off the pad, and it popped up in the air. Would have been a dolly for somebody at bat pad. Instead, they don't have a catching field there. The closest guy was Abraham Zadran, charging it at short mid-wicket, but oh, so close to a hat-trick.
Next ball. Oh, plays a miss of that through to the gloves of the keeper. Standing up, obviously. What an introduction for the New Zealand batters to this competition. Mujib, 2 for 2 from his first over. Wonderful bowling. I was just talking about just how
Afghanistan, New Zealand team. New Zealand team anneke download பண்ணேன். ஏன் வர
it's
மாட்டேங்குது
looking very difficult from this early stage of this reply. If he carries on bowling
yes,
like that.
youth.
Well, the contrasting philosophies at the toss. New Zealand went pace heavy. Afghanistan went spin heavy. And I think we're starting to see very early on in this chase which philosophy is going to win out here, because that's only the second over with the new ball. Imagine what New Zealand's going to have to face in the middle order once Rashid Khan eventually comes into the bowling attack.
I think New Zealand today can one spin instead of
replaces
pace.
Fazal Haq for the third over.
யார் ப்ரோ இருக்கா நியூசிலாந்து ஸ்பின்னர்?
Do you remember he actually did quite well?
மேட்ச் வின்னிங் ஸ்பின்னர் வேற இருக்கு. யாரும் இல்லையா?
It looked a different story then. He's on 13.
ஆல்ரெடி ரச்சின் ரவீந்திராவே போடுவான் ஸ்பின்னிங். ஒரு ஓவர் தான் கொடுத்தாங்க. இன்னும் ரெண்டோ தான் கொடுத்தாங்க.
Pretty quick, and it's driven in the offside for no run.
Afghanistan
feels like a lifetime ago,
That's the point I was making. It was. I was
New Zealand team
New Zealand at that stage, and then it's all ignited out there. And great cheers as well. A lot of Afghan support in the crowd in Chennai for the first of our 3 games today. Seifert on 13. That's a little short, being pulled away by Seifert. There's a fielder out there. Will he get to it before the boundary? No, can't cut that off. So he was running as hard and as fast as he could. Did get a hand to it, but I'm afraid one of those just parried it onto the sponge for all that effort. So it's another boundary for Seifert. He moves to 17, wondering what's going off at the other end.
Well, he watched all the carnage unfold.
New Zealand played only one spinner, but that was a mistake.
And whips that one through the leg side.
Bro, spinner வேற யாரும் இல்லையே bro, match winning spinner. ரச்சின் ரவீந்திராவே ஒரு ஸ்பின்னர் தான் bro. ரச்சின் ரவீந்திரா ஸ்பின் போடுவான்.
It cleanly to keep it from going over the road.
அவங்க எப்போதுமே இப்படி தான் bro. பேஸ் bowling-ஓட தான் போவாங்க. இந்த இதா இருந்தா அவங்க ஸ்ட்ரெngth போன வேர்ல்ட் கப்பா இருக்கட்டும், ஈவன் அந்த ஓடிஐ மேட்சா இருக்கட்டும், அவங்க இதோட தான் போவாங்க. பேஸ் bowling-ஓட தான் அவங்க மெயின் ஸ்ட்ரெngth பேஸ் bowling தான். இந்தியால நடக்கிறப்பவே பேஸ் bowling வச்சுட்டு தான் போனாங்க அவங்க. ஈவன் டெஸ்ட் மேட்சா இருக்கட்டும் எல்லாமே. வேர்ல்ட் கப் டெஸ்ட் மேட்ச் ஜெயிச்சப்ப கூட ஃபுல்லா பேஸ் bowling வச்சுட்டு தான் போனாங்க. இங்கிலாந்து அதே மாதிரி தான் பண்ணுவானுங்க. ஃபுல் பேஸ் bowling-ஓட தான் போவானுங்க. 1-2 தான். Scotland.
Just wonder if they would have been tempted to just carry on.
Ravindra gave 14 runs in 1 over. Chepak has been support.
Scrambled the minds of the New Zealand batters. because Seifert does look as if he quite likes a bit of pace on, and he's played well with it so far for his boundaries.
South
Well, and the other thing about
Africa,
Afghanistan
Sri
coming into this tournament,
Lanka.
Naveen Ul-Haq was one of their best pace bowlers over the last several years, out injured, and that increases the reliance on spin over the course of this event.
Next ball, driven along the ground on the onside, beats the initial fielder, but doesn't beat Ibrahim, who's a little deeper. And that is Seifert with a single to 18. So Phillips has faced 2 balls. One of those was a hat-trick ball, which he somehow kept out. It popped up off the pads.
Next match Nepal team download பண்ணனும். Nepal England team download பண்ணனும்.
For only his 4th T20 today.
First New Zealand download
And
பண்ணனும்.
2 of those came recently against West Indies in Dubai in January. He had a 7-year gap in between his first and second T20I, and you wonder, is he even going to get the ball today? Is he going to get a thanks for coming if the spinners do the dirty work against the New Zealand lineup? Because you've got Fazal Haq and Azmat bowling here. Mujib is going to get 4.
Sri Lanka today there can be a brace. தெரியல bro, braceல எதுக்கு உட்காரச்சாங்கன்னு தெரியலையே.
Nabi
Captain உட்கார
and
வச்சிட்டாங்க.
Mujib are obviously going to bowl 4, so that's going to be 12 overs. So
இதுக்கு முன்னாடி கேப்டன் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தான்.
Took 2 for 45 and 3 for 36 in his most recent 2
Sri Lanka team தான் நான் download பண்ணேன்.
against
Uniform.
West Indies, but
Okay.
we even need to go to him.
வந்துருச்சு T-shirt.
Phillips facing and gets bat on that. Quick bat on that. It's a nice shot, actually. It's a really good shot. Didn't have much to work with, but the pace of the ball. There was not much room to work with. He gets it away really well.
இங்கிலாந்துக்கு இருக்கா T-shirt?
It's a boundary.
இங்கிலாந்துக்கு இல்ல, இங்கிலாந்துக்கு டவுன்லோட் பண்ணனும். இங்கிலாந்து வந்து லைசென்ஸ்டு டீம். டவுன்லோட் பண்ண முடியுமா? அதனால தான் இல்லையான்னு தெரியல.
Not even a full follow through on the pull
First
shot.
New Zealand
was on the hips, back of length, and he just kind of flicked it away and beat deep backward square leg quite easily as one of the 2 boundary riders, along with deep third in this opening 6-over power play.
So 3 balls faced, he's on 4. 25 for 2 is the score. Maybe a little bit slower. That shot didn't look particularly true, but it's to the leg side.
Pakistan state.
Completion of an expensive over. 11 runs coming from. 12 came from the first over the innings.
Scotland, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh.
Well, wickets, hat-trick balls.
Bye bro, bye. நானும் முடிச்சுக்க போறேன். அவ்வளவுதான். நெக்ஸ்ட் சாப்பிட்டுட்டு அந்த மேட்ச் போடுவோம்.
Captains do like with the bowlers to make the sort of changes that nobody expected, but surely you continue with Mujib. Just brilliant.
South Africa.
New Zealand need another 158 from 102 balls. But it's the wickets column. It was the runs column we were looking at for Afghanistan. Mujib does continue, obviously. Seifert goes deep, and he'll get that one away for a single too long on. And Afghanistan initially trying to set the target. It was that.
நேம் போட்டு செர்ச் பண்ணிடுவோமா?
Looks if they were just a little bit short.
ராவி கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியல.
It's given New Zealand something of a challenge here. Mujib's bowling his second over, and will be the second ball of his second over. 26 for 2 in the 4th. Rashid Khan, who's not only the leading wicket taker, but of course around the world.
எங்கடா என்னல நியூசிலாந்து காணோம்.
He's also the skipper, so he's looking after things over the field. Down the leg side, helped on its way. There's a fielder there, can't get it past the fielder. Can Phillips, so he settles for that. He's got a mini beard. There was a pretty full-on beard from Phil Allen. I don't think maybe he wants to take a look at that, because it hasn't served him well on the opening day of this tournament. Again, he's got that away very fine. I mean, that really, again, was quick work with the wrists and the hands. It's a 4. How he got that, again, I'm looking at that in my mind before I see the replay, saying, how did he get that away the way he did? It's just flown off down there. It's going down the leg side. It's going to be helping us. Plays it really well, just a roll of the wrist, just to keep the ball down as well. Little flick, and off it goes. Terrific stuff.
I don't think he meant to get it that fine with the sweep shot. And Mujib...
Next ball. And that's worked away onside for a single.
The previous ball was actually worse. The previous ball should have gone for 4 on the hips, and he got away with it, picking out short, fine leg in the ring. But the follow-up ball was much fuller, allowed him to play the sweep shot, and he got it fine enough to beat that short fine leg fielder.
Seifert on 19, 2 balls left of this.
எப்படியா இருக்கு யூனிஃபார்ம் T20 World Cup?
Seifert. A lot of talk about guns today, as in strong.
New Zealand.
Seifert looks if he's got some fair muscle there as well to work with, but he can't, whether muscled or not, can't get that away. It's a dot ball to finish off. So 6 runs coming from that second over from Mujib. Not quite a heightened excitement and adrenaline as we saw with the first of his overs. But New Zealand here on the run chase, looking for 183 to register a win. And both these teams opening matches of this tournament, and they're 31 for 2 after 4 overs. Rashid Khan, I mentioned him, all eyes on his wicket-taking column because he sits on 696 for T20 cricket. Just 4 short of the 700. And in a press conference yesterday, he claims he never counts the wickets. Well, that's a lot of counting to do, in fairness to him, but he never counts the wickets, but then claimed that he hopes to go on and get 7,000. Never mind 700. Pushed it to the offside. Scamper through for a single. They'll have to be quick, this pair, Seifert and Phillips. Almost an overthrow. There's a fielder there in the end to do the backing up.
Probably doesn't count them because he probably loses track because he takes so many.
Well, exactly.
When you're not taking many wickets, it's easy to keep track.
Yeah. Hear the rattle of the timbers we see on the monitors. Wickets being taken on those 2 in 2. A great start, obviously, for Afghanistan. That'll give them a lot of confidence trying to defend this 183 target. Fazal Haq is brought back on. He had an expensive first over. Seifert finding the boundary several times. Back at bowling to Seifert again. A little tighter this time at the start of this over.
Well, the first over was mostly pace on. Now we're seeing him mix up his pace coming back for the second over in the 5th. He took a lot off that one. 112 kilometers per hour, 72 miles per hour. And that fooled Seifert. I had to just tap it back.
And the wicket, that is in the air over mid-wicket, and it's going to be into the rope. It's another 4. Seifert did sort of muscle that one away. Had to be very strong in the shot there to get their way through deep mid-wicket. 36 for 2 in the 5th over.
Well, this was a poor angle taken by the boundary rider. They've switched up the field, so instead of having deep third and deep fine leg, they've now moved deep third into the ring, and they've brought a deep mid-wicket into place. Seifert coming down the pitch to attack this back of a lane delivery, swats it over the leg side. Really should have been stopped for 2, but the boundary rider took a very poor angle, came in too early, and then had to backtrack.
Next ball goes aerial, same area, but it's a 6 this time. Maybe a little straighter, not as wide out there on that leg side. So Fazal Haq, who had come back well, mixing it up. But I'm afraid he's just gone for a 4 and a 6. So it's, in the end, turning out to be every bit, if not worse, than the first. But New Zealand getting on with it. That wickets column 2 down because of the 2 in 2, just the second over. But their run rate going along at a very good rate here. Terrific work. Still in the power play. This is the 5th over. Seifert on 29. Has to stop and check himself a little, but still will get at least 1. They think of 2. They're going, testing the arm. Oh, that's could be close. I think it could be run out. Seifert going back for 2. Oh, there was a little hesitation between this pair.
Well, there was a big gap in the leg side. Even though you're in the power play, there was nobody in front of square on the leg side in the ring. They had 7 fielders in the ring, basically all on the offside, except for mid-on. And the fielder who's charged in all the way from deep mid-wicket fires one in, direct hit at the striker's end.
I think he's okay. Yeah, looking at that. I was with you initially to start off, but I tell you what he's done very well there. He's grounded it early on, hasn't he? To run it in. That's what he's done really well there.
Well, no dive, and he just barely gets his bat across the line by about 2 inches.
You see, when you say that, I'd like to say that, you know, on his behalf as he moves to 31, it was perfect. He just judged just enough time for me to get back, so we'll go back for the second. It was close. It was very close. Seifert on 31. That's a low full toss, which is driven straight to the Afghanistan captain, whose throw is not the best, but no cost. So 44 for 2 after 5 overs. Seifert on 31. Well, it's been lively, entertaining, enjoying. A little bit like your meal, if you ate well.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Ready to roll again.
Ready to go. Fully recharged now, Kevin.
Yeah, good stuff.
Excuse me.
Nikesh Regan will be with Peter.
Yeah, with New Zealand going along nicely, as you say, despite losing those 2 early wickets in consecutive deliveries off the bowling of Mujibur Rahman. 5 overs gone, 44 for 2. Target 183 if you are just joining us.
Afghanistan.
Sports Extra BBC Sounds on the ABC network. Hello to everyone over in Australia and wherever you are in the world listening via the ICC app. A warm welcome to you. Mujib continues, and that's past the outside edge of Phillips. Just done for a bit of pace. Mujib getting the ball to skid after it bounces. 2 for 8 his figures so far into his 3rd over. Here he is again, Mujib, slightly short down the leg side. It's been helped on its way past short fine leg. It's one of the very few loose deliveries that Mujib has bowled so far, and Phillips just had to use the pace and get it past that fielder.
Well, when he's erred, it's been on the pads. 3 times now he's bowled identical deliveries to Phillips that have just strayed too much down the leg side, and 2 out of the 3 have now been flicked past that short fine leg fielder for a boundary. On the 3rd occasion he picked out short fine leg. This time he goes to the left of the fielder. The previous boundary he swept to the right of the fielder, fine of him.
Mujib corrects the line, goes into that off stump, and Phillips defends offside for no run. 48 for 2 New Zealand, 135 more required from 87 balls. Mujib rushing through the over and rushing Phillips into that defensive shot once more.
Well, they're already ahead of where Afghanistan were leg for leg. They finished the power play at 44 for 2, so this is almost a bonus over in the power play. They entered this over at 44 for 2.
Mujib floats one up, and the invitation accepted by Phillips, who slaps it over extra cover for 4. One bounce into the ropes. Just strolls down the pitch, does a bit of gardening as well. Nonchalant from Glenn Phillips to bring the 50 up for New Zealand as well. 52 for 2.
Well, all the previous boundaries conceded by Mujib had been down the leg side. This time he goes 2 wide outside off in the slot, half volley length, and just punched over wide mid off. Afghanistan only scored 4 boundaries in the power play. New Zealand is already up to 11.
Mujib straying slightly into that leg stump line, but gets away with this one as Phillips flicks it to square leg. So 8 runs off that Mujib over. By far his most expensive. 2 for 16 his figures still. 3, 6 overs gone, so the power play done and dusted. And New Zealand will consider that, I think, a fairly successful one. 52 for 2. Could have been a lot worse at the stage when Mujib took 2 wickets in his first over. Consecutive deliveries. That target of 183 still very much within sights for the Black Caps.
But yeah, I think they might have been sweating a little bit when Mujib took those 2 wickets on back-to-back balls in the second over, but everything either side of that has been one-way traffic for New Zealand, with Seifert on 31. Again, Afghanistan as a team had 3 4s and 1 6 in their power play. New Zealand, by comparison, have had 5 4s off the bat of Seifert, 4 4s from Phillips, and then the 6 as well from Seifert. So in terms of boundary hitting production, New Zealand have capitalized far more efficiently in their power play in comparison to Afghanistan's. And if Afghanistan don't wind up defending this total in spite of all the spin options they've got up their sleeve, you'd have to look back to that opening power play on what we felt early on. Nikesh looked like a good batting wicket.
It certainly does. Players just having a little drink. Afghanistan players just breaking their huddle as we speak and getting back to their positions. Good support for both sides in the stands today. Lots of Afghan fans, a few New Zealand fans scattered in amongst the crowd as well. Lots of local Indian supporters with some of those should we call them, very replica shirts that the sellers outside the Chepauk Stadium do a good trade in. Some of the spellings on the backs of those shirts are a little bit questionable at times. And a couple of years ago, lots of Quinton de Kock shirts, slightly wrong spelling of de Kock on the back, brought a few smiles to the TMS box. Lots of New Zealand shirts as well being worn by some of the locals, as well as plenty of Afghan flags in the crowd too.
Well, you're talking about the knockoff jerseys. I'm thinking back last night to the USA match. Monak Patel, I don't know who made the USA jerseys, but they had an extra A into Monak. I don't know if it was for numerology reasons or something else, but Monak is supposed to be M-O-N-A-N-K, and they slipped in a second A there. That's his official jersey. That's not one of the street sellers outside Chepauk.
Well, even with the US, I've always been interested that they don't have a sort of cricket crest, do they? It's just the flag.
Well, it used to be
stripes
until USA Cricket, the organization, got suspended. The logo had a bat and a star and a ball, and then when they got suspended by the ICC in October, it's now disappeared from their jersey.
Rashid Khan into the attack then after the power play, goes full into Seifert, who drives too long off for a single.
So this tournament, we're pretending that USA Cricket no longer exists, and technically speaking, they don't. They were dissolved by a federal judge in January. So no evidence of them on the jersey. It's just the Stars and Stripes flag itself, which is quite nice.
It's like at the Olympics, isn't it, when certain countries get suspended. As Rashid's in and Phillips knocks the ball to long on for a single, where, you know, people from that country still compete, but under a different banner, I guess.
Under the Olympic banner. It would be something else to see USA compete as
the ICC.
The ICC undesignated country.
Rashid in, and it's another full ball to Seifert, driven to long for a single. That's what Rashid will do, keep things tight, give away not too much in terms of boundary hitting opportunities.
Instead of hearing, oh, say, can you see? You hear the ICC anthem. Dun, dun, dun.
Rashid in, and that's been floated up into the slot, and Phillips smashes it into the sight screen for 6. Beautiful swing of the arms from Glenn Phillips. A rare loose delivery, that from Rashid Khan, just floated up into the slot. Nice half volley. Phillips doesn't miss out.
Well, we saw him do this to Mujib, over-pitched outside off.
Rashid goes short this time, and that's been pulled away for 4 out towards cow corner. Trying to overcompensate there, Rashid Khan. And Glenn Phillips rocks back, slaps him for 4, and that's the 50 partnership as well between these two for the 3rd wicket. 51 off just 33.
Well, it's rare that you would describe Rashid Khan as being predictable, but you touched on it, Nikesh. The overcorrection was telegraphed. After going too full the previous delivery, he dropped his length back way too much. Just set up way too short for Phillips to pull that over wide mid-wicket.
The ball of Rashid's over. Another short ball hit in the air and doesn't quite carry to deep mid-wicket. It was Sadiq out there who probably misjudged it, really. Had plenty of time to make the ground up. It was only sort of 15 yards in from the rope where he was standing. He was hesitant. In the end, that costs Afghanistan an opportunity to take that 3rd wicket. Single taken into the Rashid Khan over.
Well, I'm with you, Nikesh. I feel like that was a chance. He really misjudged that badly. That was in the air for quite a while. It wasn't skied off the bat. It was more flattish trajectory, but it was still in the air for quite some time. Enough time for Sadiq to come in off the rope, and he hung back instead. Didn't start to leave the rope until very late, and by the time he got there, short hopped him, and he had to abort any attempt to dive forward for a chance, and instead just kind of let it bounce off of his thigh, trying to block it from going over the rope, and avoided compounding the error by making it worse to allow it to go for 4. So he kept it to a single, but in reality, that really should have been a catching opportunity, and I think Rashid wasn't exactly thrilled with the effort as Ziaur Rahman comes into the attack for his first over.
There is Rahman, and short of a length delivery to begin with, just worked around the corner by Phillips to deep backwards square leg. Single taken. Ziaur, sort of tall right arm seamer, and over the wicket here. New Zealand requiring another 116 to win from 77 balls.
Can only play his 4th T20I. He had a 7-year gap between making his debut and then playing 2 T20Is against West Indies in Dubai last month, just leading into this event.
Ziaur bowls and see if that knocks the ball into a vacant mid-wicket area. Doesn't make great contact, which allows them back through for 2. The field spread on the leg side, lots of work to do for the sweepers running in to try and field that ball. And there's the siren as well, so Ziaur Rahman holding a no ball. So 3 conceded off that delivery, and there's going to be a free hit.
Well, his foot landed on the line, and it's got to be behind the line. And that's why the 3rd umpire siren has gone off. Seifert's already got 5 4s and a 6 in his innings. 35 off 22. There's a chance to find the boundary again here. And they can't change the field, so they've got deep third point, deep square leg, deep mid-wicket, and long on the 5 boundary riders.
Seifert walks back to a very full delivery, almost Yorker length, and can't drive it past extra cover, so good comeback by Ziaur there. 70 for 2, New Zealand remain on into the 8th over.
Well done to mitigate the damage there, getting a wide Yorker in, and Seifert couldn't do much with it, just jammed it out to the mid-off fielder, so avoids further damage on the free hit.
So yeah, goes short and wide and sort of left alone outside off stump. It's been signalled wide, quite close to that guideline for the umpires, but on this occasion, extra run given.
Yeah, Ravindra Gurbaz did not look terribly thrilled. It was tight, and it was hard to judge because he did bowl it so short. There's a little bit of guesswork with where it passes the guideline there, rather than a Yorker where it's quite obvious if it's gone inside the guideline or not, given New Zealand's favour on that occasion.
Ziaur in, and that's just past the off stump. Seifert just back in his crease, looking to pull that one into the leg side. Just looked like an off cutter, quick off cutter, 135 kilometres per hour, but not too far away from the timber.
We saw one delivery that sparked a DRS review in the first innings that looked like it skidded a touch low, and on that occasion, that's really only the 2nd time we've seen in this match any sort of variable bounce, and Seifert got away with it because he played over the top of a pull shot and it just barely cleared off stump.
Ziaur in, and that's a thickish outside edge from Seifert down to deep third. Put himself to a single. Decent enough pace, Ziaur ul Haq, sort of 85 miles an hour. As far as 87, I think, in this over.
And he's really playing. This is a spot in the lineup that would have gone to Naveen ul Haq if Naveen ul Haq hadn't gotten injured in the build-up to the World Cup. So this is an opportunity for Ziaur to show what he can do. Again, haven't played T20Is in about 7 years, and now getting an opportunity in this World Cup.
Ziaur into Phillips, who punches the ball towards the sweeper there at deep cover. Single taken. New Zealand Just ticking along nicely here. 110 required from 73. Context of modern T20 cricket, the equation is very, very gettable with 8 wickets in hand. Strike for the final ball of this Zia over, which is moving gently towards wide long on. A couple of runs to finish off. A mixed bag of an over, really. 9 conceded by Afghanistan. There's that no ball, of course, and then the wide. No damage done off the free hit, so New Zealand 75 for 2 after 8 overs.
One thing I've noticed, we talked before with Kevin as well about the sounds in these grounds. This is definitely a crowd that's leaning more towards Afghanistan than New Zealand, and as a result you can kind of hear how quiet it is. Nikesh, very subdued after 8 overs in this chase. After those 2 wickets that Mujib took in the second over, Rashid Khan's first over going for 14, and this crowd, which has a lot more Afghanistan fans in it than New Zealand fans, not making much noise here. We saw how quiet it was last night at the Wankhede. How often do you hear an India crowd that quiet for a home match? The USA kept the fans out of it for good chunks of the game.
Azmatullah Omarzai begins another over. Phillips punches the ball out towards deep cover for a single. Used to happen a lot in the 90s, didn't it, in run chases? As soon as Sachin Tendulkar got out, everyone would be quiet. A lot of people used to just leave at that point. No point in hanging around. Don't have any faith in the rest of them. Indian cricket certainly has changed a lot since those days, but they were shaken badly by the USA yesterday at the Wankhede Stadium. Saifer clips the ball into the leg side, helps himself to another run. 77 for 2, New Zealand. I've seen a few Kane Williamson shirts in the crowd too. Bit of a hangover from 2.5 years ago in the ODI World Cup. Not sure how passionate some of these local supporters with New Zealand shirts on are, though. Zai short into the body of Phillips, who just stays leg side of the ball and almost uppercuts that. One bounce for 4 out towards deep third. There was a man on the rope. The ball flew off the bat. He had absolutely no chance of cutting it off.
140 km/h delivery, 86 miles an hour, and he uses the pace on it. The deep third fielder was very fine on the rope, and Phillips slashes this quite square, and it lands one bounce over the rope about 10 yards wide of the fielder at deep third, so no danger in that shot.
Azmat goes short once more, and that's been pulled away over short fine leg for 4 more. It's just sitting up nicely, isn't it, when he's bowling short, Azmatullah. Glenn Phillips is not going to be worried about those types of deliveries. He moves into the 40s, New Zealand 85 for 2.
At 82 miles an hour, that is asking to be battered, and bouncer on the body. Phillips only needs to get a little bit of bat on that, and more of a top edge than out of the middle, but placed well, safe shot, fine leg up in the ring, no chance of that going to a fielder. And another boundary, and now you wonder how much longer can they keep Nabi out of the attack, how much longer can they keep Rashid after giving away 14 in his first over. How quickly is he going to bring himself back on here, because New Zealand is starting to race away here towards the target.
Azmatullah in, and Phillips clips a full delivery out towards deep mid-wicket for another single. At the stage where Mujib took 2 wickets in 2 balls in the power play, Afghanistan on win predictor were up at 80%. That was their chance of winning the game. They're now not favourites anymore. New Zealand with a 55% chance. Afghanistan down to 45. Run rate required. Less than 9 runs and over. Slower delivery from Azmat.
'Cause,
Worked into the leg side for another single. 9 overs gone. 3 wickets in 2 balls. New Zealand 1 for 2.
'cause,
New Zealand 87 for 2, 96 more required from 11 overs.
This is looking very easy. The stand continuing to build for Seifert and Phillips, who are cruising into the 40s now, as Rashid is going to switch ends. He bowled his previous over from the opposite end of the ground. He's going to come back in here for his second over, and for Afghanistan's sake, they're hoping the change of ends might bring about a different result than his first over, because he got belted by Glenn Phillips for 6 and 4, and perhaps should have had him caught at deep mid wicket at the end of that over, but Sadiq didn't read the ball well off the bat, hung back at deep mid wicket, and instead of Phillips potentially being caught on 29, it's allowed him to continue and move on to 42 here.
Really good partnership. This as Rashid Khan continues. It's been worked into the leg side. Seifert is wide of long on for another single. Rashid conceding 14 from that first over. Search for a big 6 straight back down the ground, and then overcorrect the next delivery, pulled away for 4.
And New Zealand has mostly played him off the back foot here. He had that one drive for 6, but he's been dropping it much more short.
Oh, he goes full that time, and it's an inside edge from Phillips. He's dragged it onto the stumps. Rashid Khan gets his first wicket of this T20 World Cup, and he is loving it. A pump of the fists, and a big cry of relief almost from the Afghanistan captain. New Zealand 88 for 3.
You're seeing the tricolour flag waving again for the first time in a while. Phillips really took himself out of range to play the shot. It was floated up full, and if he had stayed in an orthodox position, he probably would have pumped it through cover, at worst getting cut off by the sweeper for 1. Instead, he backed away from leg stump, and by backing away, he kind of took himself out of reach to play that shot as comfortably as he probably wanted to, and instead of getting it out of the middle, he drags an inside edge, kind of a toe drag back onto the stumps. Rashid bowled it so full it was almost a Yorker length, and he kind of almost, I don't know if Phillips was trying to jam that out or if he was trying to play a shot full-fledged through the offside or what, but he just, by backing away from leg stump, he took himself out of reach, and that was the cause of the downfall there as Mark Chapman comes in at number 5 for New Zealand.
Mark Chapman, the new batter, and Rashid Khan in that celebration